Good morning. Today is Friday, December 2nd, meeting of our City Council. As we're waiting for a quorum, I'd like to ask and acknowledge Councilwoman Janice Hahn for a special presentation this morning.
Thank you. Why don't you come up and join me? Colleagues, this morning I'm very honored to have with us John Good and Cindy Bradley from Shag with a Twist, which is a musical. Come see him right behind me. Which is a musical that's based on the well-known art of Josh, how do I say it? Agel, better known as Shag. And the Shag-created characters find themselves involved in a murder mystery which takes place at a Tupperware party. And hopefully many of you caught Shag with a Twist when it was running here in downtown Los Angeles. John is executive producer from Jet Setter Production, who produced the show, and Cindy Bradley, my friend, was the choreographer and director, and Cindy and her husband Patrick are renowned in San Pedro for the San Pedro City Ballet. This show was a collaboration between Josh Agel and Cindy. The show was produced by Jet Setter in partnership with our Cultural Affairs Department and the San Pedro City Ballet, and it ran at our own Los Angeles Theater Center from March through June of this year. And I wanted to bring them down here to honor them because Shag with the Twist recently took home the 2005 Ovation Award for Best Costume Design Large Theater. Woohoo! And for those of you who don't know, the Ovation Awards are Southern California's equivalent to the Tonys, and they have been called the highest profile contest for local theater by the LA Times. Currently, it's exciting, the Shag producers are in talks with one of the largest hotel and casino groups in Las Vegas to take Shag there, and they're also having continued talks with various venues and sponsors about a tour of this show. So I really thought this was exciting. Some of our local people who have produced this great play, this great musical, and have won this award. And I will say that there was an ulterior motive for me bringing Cindy Bradley down here today, because I also want to give a plug to Cindy's upcoming show in San Pedro. The San Pedro City Ballet will be performing The Nutcracker. They're coming back after a long time to perform in our historic Warner Grand Theater next weekend, December 10th and 11th, and they have a special guest star in their Nutcracker on Saturday night the 10th. Who do you think that is? Oh, very good. I will be playing the Rat King. No. I have a cameo appearance where I'm walking on in the first scene in the party scene. So I will be performing in the Nutcracker next weekend. And I encourage everyone to get in the Holly spirit and come on down to San Pedro to the historic Warner Grand Theater and see this great production. I've already had one rehearsal, and I'm due to have one more tomorrow morning. Hopefully I get it right. But I'm very impressed with all the young men and women in this production. It's really going to be a fine production of the Nutcracker. So once again, congratulations on your Ovation Award, and best of luck. I want to present this official City of Los Angeles. Congratulations to the producers, the cast, and the crew of Shag with a Twist. Congratulations. We're honored to know you. Would you like to say a few words? Would you like to say a few words?
We'd just like to thank Janice for her support, and especially the Cultural Affairs Department in the City of Los Angeles. It wouldn't have been possible without the support of the city. So thank you so much, and we'll see you all in Las Vegas.
That's right. Congratulations. Why don't we come back and take a picture?
Thank you, Ms. Hahn. I'd like to acknowledge Councilmember Smith for a presentation. Are you ready for your presentation yet? Or you want to wait?
You have that one?
We had you as one. Okay. Then Mr. Zine, we will introduce you for a presentation. As a presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We are honored today to have with us not a person who's retiring, but a person who's been promoted in the California Highway Patrol, a person that I had the pleasure to work with when he was the commanding officer of the West Valley area of the California Highway Patrol, Captain Craig Klein. If you please come up. Now you are Assistant Chief Craig Klein. He's joined by his mom and his dad, Harvey and Shirley. If you'll please join us. You brought him in this world, so you should recognize the honor he's going to receive today. We also have with us Leland Tang, who's the Public Affairs Representative for West Valley CHP, Lieutenant Andy James also. Come on up, Andy. You can join the family up here. Captain Klein has been promoted to Assistant Chief, and fortunately for us here in Southern California, he's not being relocated to another part of the state, which frequently happens when a promotion takes place in the California Highway Patrol, since they cover everything from the Oregon border down to the southern border of San Diego, Baja. Captain Klein graduated the California Highway Patrol Academy in December 1983. If Tom LaBonge had applied for the Highway Patrol, maybe you too would be honored today, Tom LaBonge. That's a rivalry we've got going between the 3rd District and Tom LaBonge from Hollywood. Captain Klein worked a variety of assignments throughout Los Angeles County, including patrol in the Malibu area. That must have been a fun spot during the summertime. A dirty job, but someone had to do it. A public affairs officer, court officer, applicant investigator, emergency preparedness coordinator, administrative assistant to the Southern Division Chief, also the field operations lieutenant in the West Valley and Ventura areas, and appointed to the Ventura County Disaster Council. Captain Klein, I keep saying captain, but you know, it's hard to change that. I'd call you Craig. Recently served on the board of directors, currently serves on the board of directors of the Peace Officers Association of Los Angeles County. Promoted to captain in August 2000, subsequently served as the commanding officer of Central Los Angeles and Altadena areas. January 2003, captain was assigned as the Special Operations Commander with oversight of the Commercial Services and Air Operations Program throughout Los Angeles County. And in April 2004, had the opportunity to return to West Valley as the commanding officer and gladly accepted that assignment. And we were very pleased to see you there in the West Valley, and let Leland Tang go out there and take care of business with us out in the West Valley in the 3rd District. Born in New York City in 1959, raised in the San Fernando Valley after moving to California in 1968. Graduated Moorpark Park College in 1992, since attended numerous courses specializing in organizational management and business relations, married for 20 years, and has 2 daughters who unfortunately were not able to be with us this morning. We want to honor being promoted from captain to assistant chief of the California Highway Patrol here in Southern Division, Captain Klein. And we have a congratulations to you on promotion to assistant chief. Your efforts and dedication reflect your well-deserved promotion. Best wishes on continued growth and success. Now, when I get stopped by the Highway Patrol, I'm going to have a copy of this in my car, because I know from a Captain Gordon Graham, he's always told me, he said, the councilman, the motto in the California Highway Patrol, all roads, all codes. There you go. For you, congratulations to you, and some comments from you.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. And Captain, before you make your comments, we have a few of our colleagues that like to say a few words. I'd like to call on Councilmember Smith, followed by Councilmember LaBonge.
Well, thank you. And Commander, I want to congratulate you. I can tell you that over my years working out in the Valley, we've never had a better working relationship than I've had with you and your staff in the last couple of years. You guys have been, whenever we've asked for help, you've been there. You've been just a great captain. I always love to see personnel advance, but it's also a sorrow to see you advance because we lose a great representative out there, and the CHP has done us a great deal of service by your being there, but by promoting you as well. So I just want to add my name to Dennis's and congratulate you on your promotion. I know it's going to be great for the people of the San Fernando Valley and this region in particular, because you did a tremendous job as captain out there, and the working relationship I had has never been better. So congratulations, and look forward to working with you, and good luck up there. Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. LaBonge.
Assistant Chief, correct Klein. Congratulations, Dennis, for bringing such a great representative of the state here. The Highway Patrol is so important for the safety and making people move safely on our state highways, and also the goods movement throughout this region. But I just wanted to, on behalf of Gary Goltz, who I think you may know of his work, a great booster of the Highway Patrol, to recite the whenever the laws of any state are broken, a duly authorized organization swings into action. It may be called the state police, the state troopers, or the Highway Patrol.
The militia or
militia, I made a mistake. These are the story of the men and women of the Highway Patrol. It's a great organization, and we thank you for all your work. I like what Mr. Smith said. It is a cooperative effort that working the city streets as well as the state highways and freeways, and I thank you, and to all your officers. And as I mentioned earlier, our thoughts are with Officer Presley and his recovery from that horrible shooting in San Bernardino, Riverside County. Be safe out there. Congratulations on your promotion. Congratulations to your family right behind you there. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And before you speak, I want to add my congratulations and echo both of my colleagues. We've had a fantastic relationship with you, and know that now you're going to take all of the relationships you have here with the city and make sure we're well taken care of. But you've been more than just a partner. You've been part of the city family to us. And thank you very much for your participation, and know that this promotion is going to be an incredible asset for us here in the city of Los Angeles. So congratulations. And it's now to your turn to have a chance to speak.
All right, your turn. Thank you very much. Well, first of all, distinguished members of the City Council, I really want to give you a heartfelt thank you for this recognition. I would like to say I am accepting this plaque, which will be prominently displayed in my new office, on behalf of the entire West Valley squad, which we have Lieutenant James and my Public Affairs Officer Leland Tang here today, because they're the ones that made my job easy. I'd also like to say that the members of the City Council that I've been working with over the past couple of years have been wonderful public safety partners, extremely enthusiastic and proactive, and really when it comes to public safety, never say no. So thank you for making my job much, much easier. Last but not least, as I said, we came out here in 1968, moved to what was then the quiet bedroom community known as the San Fernando Valley. It's changed a little bit in the past almost 40 years. But it was certainly a thrill for me to be able to come back to the Valley as the commanding officer. And now in my new capacity, I look forward to serving the citizens of this great city. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, and congratulations.
Come over here. We'll do some pictures in the back. I have one more presentation.
Okay.
Andy, just wait over here. We'll do some photos in the back. Arnie?
And while we're waiting, I'm going to call, we still are waiting for Councilmember Cardenas, Councilmember Parks, Councilmember Reyes, and Councilmember Wesson to make their way to City Council chambers.
Thank you. Our next presentation, Arnie Rubin, Lori Rubin, and Shirley Price from Funrise Toy Corporation. And you may wonder, why would we be recognizing a toy corporation at this time of the month? I know at Christmas and Hanukkah and all the wonderful holiday celebrations are going to be taking place this month, but the reason we are recognizing Arnie and Funrise Toy Company is for what they have done for the last 10 years, and this is the 10th anniversary. There is an annual event that Arnie started from his plant in in West Valley, Ontario. I know you're going to Van Nuys. See, you got Van Nuys in my mind. Arnie's moving from West Valley to Van Nuys. But needless to say, because the business is expanding, every year for the past 10 years, he's put together a motorcycle run. Thousands of motorcycle riders converge at his business on Ontario, south of Victory Boulevard, and they bring toys. Now, Arnie brings an 18-wheeler loaded with toys, and there's a caravan that leaves Funrise Toys on Ontario, heads down to DeSoto, and heads down all the way to Children's Hospital. And the Children's Hospital, all these beautiful children, all these sweet children, some who may not see next Christmas, receive toys. Santa Claus is there, and Arnie, through his dedication, his efforts, has made this happen for the last 10 years. And I became involved in this 4 years ago when I became a councilman, and helped Arnie through the process, being joint partners to make this happen, continuing that process to bring joy and happiness to the children, their families. They look forward to this. And all of the motorcycle riders, some of these motorcycle riders look with the beards, with the leather jackets, and you would look at them and say, what are they going to do at Children's Hospital? They bring that love, that cheer, those toys to the children at Children's Hospital. I'm going to let Arnie take the microphone. We have two presentations. One is for Arnie Rubin, the President and CEO of Funrise Toy Company, on your 10th anniversary for the Toy Run for Kids, and also another congratulations, Funrise Toy Company, commending the anniversary and continuing that tradition that you, on your own, have brought around for the happiness of the children at Children's Hospital. Arnie Rubin.
Thanks, Dennis. First of all, I want to thank you for this honor, and I want to give some thank yous of my own. I want to thank, in your office, Brian Perry for all of his hard work in navigating through the bureaucracy of the city. I want to thank Councilman Labange, who's taken an active role in helping us out. We really appreciate your support. I want to thank the wonderful gentleman from the Highway Patrol that just left here, Leland Tang and his group, who is going to be an integral part of supporting our run this Sunday. And truly, we hope it's another great event. We provide toys not only for Christmas, we provide toys for very, very sick kids throughout the entire year at Children's Hospital, and we appreciate the city's help. I do have a presentation for all of you. We've brought every city council member a Toy Run t-shirt and ride pin. And if you're up early on Sunday morning and care to come out to Dennis's district in Woodland Hills, we're leaving at sharp at 10 o'clock, and we'll have our ride down to Children's Hospital. Thank you all.
Thank you very much for all of your efforts.
Once again, that's this coming Sunday, and it's on Verrio, south of Victory. There'll be fire trucks, motorcycles, and it's all a wonderful cause. We will go in a caravan from Funrise Toys all the way to Children's Hospital.
And what time is that, Mr. Zine?
We're going to leave the facility on Verriel at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, and then we will then converge at Children's Hospital, where there will be thousands of motorcycle riders, fire trucks, and it's a wonderful annual event. So we invite you all, if you can't make it out to the start, please come by Children's Hospital and bring some wonderful cheer to the children. And Brian's going to carry that big bag. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zine. Thank you for your presentations this morning. I'd like to acknowledge Councilmember Tom Labange for our next presentation.
Do it all together. Members, this is that time of year where we celebrate Music Week, and I thank you for, as chairman of Arts, Parks, Health, and Aging, to put the music together. We should have more music playing there, Mr. Sound Man, Mr. Bass Man. What we have here is to honor someone from each of your districts, and I'm pleased to represent you, all of you, to do this here. Please welcome to the microphone Margie Evans, who's been coordinating this Music Week in LA. Thank you.
Thank you so very much to all of the wonderful council members. We thank you, thank you, thank you. I wanted to share with you that 1998, the Birria of Music medallion was unearthed in Highland Park around Avenue 57. It was talking about 1945, and guess what they were celebrating? Centennial celebration, Los Angeles National Music Week.
Wow.
Thank you so very much
Margie,
for appreciating all the wonderful people that give of themselves. Thank you again and again.
Thank you, Margie, very much. All these people are here, Margie?
Yes, with the exception of 2 or 3, and I'll just...
Elliot Kane. Elliot, step up right here. He's a first district, a terrific award-winning trumpeter, player, band leader, composer. Elliot Kane is renowned for his ultimate style and his very great collaborations. Along with his sextet, he has played with countless famed performers, Teddy Edwards, Ernie Williams, O.C. Smith, who I love, Little Green Apples, right? And among many others. Please welcome and salute Elliot Kane. We're going to take the pictures in the back, Elliot. Thank you. All right, congratulations. Thank you. Danny Gould from the 2nd District. That was, Elliot was for the first. Danny Gould, he's not here, but we're going to salute Danny Gould as a special person from Warner Brothers as a noted conductor, Danny Gould. And now from the 3rd District, Barbara Brighton. Barbara Brighton, congratulations, Barbara. Give her a little hand, a little love, everybody. Barbara Brighton grew up in a musical family, was a devoted jazz fan much of her life, started her own business, RJB Enterprises Jazz Ventures in 1994. Had the opportunity to produce a number of events throughout the city, 5 CDs, including the Young Artist Jazz Series, and involving numerous jazz community. How many people like jazz? Raise your hand in the chambers there. Yeah, all right, we got a lot of jazz fans here. Give Barbara Brighton a big hand. Congratulations from the 3rd District. Thank you, Barbara. We'll take pictures in the back. Serena Williams. Serena Williams. Give her a big hand there. Musicians Local 47. Professional music local dates back to 1897, where after several name changes, it has remained a constant in the Hollywood community. Serving the voice of musicians, they've worked on issues regarding child labor, immigration laws, fair wages towards orchestra members. A true saint in that work, Serena Williams. Give her a big hand, my designee for Music Week 2005. Thank you, Serena. Okay. Now, someone who has a great husband who does great work for the University of Southern California in the area of medicine from the 5th District. Please salute Lynn Crandall. Lynn Crandall right here. Lynn Crandall has served as the special director of the USC IGM Art Gallery. A highly experienced curator with involving the arts, consultant, community liaison to many locations. A great Trojans for you Trojans in the hall today. Please salute Lynn Crandall, who has a special interest also in something I'm near to dear to, our Sister City program. Please salute Lynn Crandall. Thank you, Lynn. You betcha. Tim Solomon here? Solomon is in hall. Not here today is Solomon Burke from the 6th District. We should salute him. Give Solomon Burke a big hand. Van Alexander. Come on up here, Van. I like that, Van. From the 7th District, Mr. Padilla, please join and salute Van Alexander, considered one of the greatest arrangers of all time. Worked with a variety of orchestras during the big band era that I know Mr. Bernardi would have been part of. One of the most successful arrangers in the 1938 Chick Webb hit, A Tisket, a Tasket, a song he co-wrote with vocalist Ella Fitzgerald. Mr. Alexander went on to become a highly successful composer and arranger, film and television. And members, in the era that you worked, right, Van, they used to project those great films up there. You'd have the orchestra right here, and you would conduct it right as they projected it at the same time. Art in motion, art in action.
Guilty.
You got it. Van Alexander for the 7th District. Give him a big hand. Thank you, Van. They did that, right? They were projected. Mr. Donaldson, come on up here. Please welcome Philip Donaldson. Has dedicated himself to the community service to help local school children learn about music and its local contributions through Optimist Club of Los Angeles. 54 Optimist Club, which is good to be an optimist. Absolutely. And it's good to connect children to music. So important. Mr. Donaldson's dedication to music continues throughout his hands-on assistant here at LA Music Week. Please salute Philip R. Donaldson, 8th District. Congratulations to you. Thank you. All right, we have William J. Marshall. All right. And the 52nd Street School, are you with it? Okay. William Marshall is the representative of the 9th District, and he has been a teacher, a music teacher at 52nd Street School for over a decade and has over 30 years experience as a minister of music. He's received countless proclamations from mayors and cities from Boston to Carson to Los Angeles, and a recipient of Musicians Action Award in 2000. An educator working with our young people at 52nd Street School. Please salute the 9th District nominee, William J. Marshall. Newt Oliver. Newt Oliver's not here, but we salute Newt Oliver from the 10th District. Now from the 11th District, Vicki Evans. Give her a hand there, Vicki. Vicki Evans is the designer and webmaster for LA Music Week website. She also is the president and has served as a educator in arts, a facilitator, a mentor, a Delta coach in LA Unified School District. She has taught ballet, American Sign Language, graphic arts, and all curriculum subjects in choral at 52nd Street School is welcome. What a lucky school 52nd Street is. Please salute Vicki Evans of the 11th District. Benjamin Wright from the 12th District. Benjamin, good to see you. Give him a little hand right there. In 1975, Benjamin Wright came west through the Banning Pass, out Interstate 10 into Los Angeles, moved here in 75, has been extremely busy in the music world, working as a music director for many famous artists, such as The Temptations, Gladys Knight, Aretha Franklin, Barry White, the Love Unlimited Orchestra, and Michael Jackson. Recently, Mr. Wright was honored to participate in the Nobel Peace Prize celebration in Oslo, Norway. Please salute Benjamin Wright of the 12th District. Good job. From the 13th District, let's have Special Catalina. Yeah, Catalina, how do you say it? Catalina Popescu for the 13th District. Romanian-born Catalina opened the famous Catalina Bar and Grill back in 1986 at the famous historic Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel. No, this is not the same Catalina Bar that I knew. What street are you on?
We were in Cahuenga.
On Cahuenga. Okay, Eric knows. He knows all those hip clubs. All right, Eric Garcetti. Thank you, Eric. I apologize. Catalina, your wonderful nightclub was opened back in 1986. She was motivated by her love of jazz and music, following the advice of legendary Buddy Collette on presenting live music. She opened the doors of her restaurant where many renowned musicians have taken the stage. Catalina, I thank you. I know Cahuenga is very special because did you know, I know you know everything, Mr. Garcetti, you're a Rhodes Scholar, that there is a manhole there named for Shelley's manhole right there on Cahuenga, right there, right down the street from Catalina's. Congratulations to you, Catalina. Sorry, I messed up on that. Thank you. We'll take a picture afterwards. From the 14th District, we have here the 14th District. I want to say Bridget Patak. Bridget Patak. Bridget, congratulations to you. She was born in that great green country of Ireland and immigrated to Los Angeles in 1892 if you were William Mulholland. But you're not William Mulholland. It was 1982. I had to get Mulholland's name in there because I have a love for Mulholland. Come here close, Bridget. My wife's name's Bridget. And she came here. She was very involved with getting people involved with music, which is so important. She was president of the New Orleans Jazz Club, which was founded 42 years ago to promote jazz music and to encourage young musicians. Although not a musician herself, she recognized good music and sees the need to feel our souls with music as much as need to feed our food for our bodies. I want a hand for Bridget Patak. Bridget, good job. Good job, Bridget. Right there. Got a little green in there, too. Okay. Finally, not able to join us today, but give a hand for Gary Sinclair of the 15th District, who is a manager for our postal system. Not only does he help the mail move, he gets it through music. And all the way that counts. Miss Evans, come back up here. This is Music Week 2005. Give all these award recipients a big hand. Come up here closer. We're going to go in the back and take pictures. Madam President, I certainly thank you for this opportunity to salute everyone here this morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Labange, for acknowledging all of the 15 recipients that are here today and being acknowledged. Colleagues, we do have a quorum. We'd like to run through the agenda at this point in time for those items called special. And I believe we're 5 minutes away from being in the special meeting. We'll see as we go through this if we can do that agenda in a moment as well. So I'd ask you, Mr. Clerk, a first order of business.
That would be calling the roll. Cardenas, Garcetti, Grohl, Hahn, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Padilla. 13 members present and a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you. Then the next order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Smith moves, Mr. Padilla seconds.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Those have been approved.
Before beginning the regular agenda, there has been a request to continue items 1 and 4 to December 13th.
That being the order of business, item number 1 and item 4 will be continued to the 13th.
On the regular agenda, items 2 through 7, with the exception of 4 that was continued, are items for which public hearings have been held. Committee reports have been circulated on items 2 and 5.
Colleagues, any specials this morning? Mr. Smith.
Number 5, please.
Item number 5. Mr. Labange, would you like item number 12 called special? Okay. Item 5, item number 12. Okay. Any other items called special this morning? If not, the balance of those, excuse me. Yes, I'm sorry. 8.
Madam
Okay.
President, we're only in sections 2 through 7 at this time.
Okay. So item number 5 will be called special. We'll have those others in our next items. So we will call the roll on the remainder of those items in 1 through 7, and those that have not been continued. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. Or Madam Clerk, excuse me.
13 ayes.
Those items have been approved. The next order of business.
Items 8 through 11 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
So item number 8 will be called special. Any other specials, colleagues? Item 8 through 11. If not, Madam Clerk, we'll call the roll, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
Those items have been approved.
On the continuation agenda, item 12 is an item for which public hearing has been held.
Okay, and I know that Mr. Labange would like that item called special, so I assume there'll be no problem with that. We will call item number 12 special, and at this point in time, I don't think, let me check the cards.
You wish to recess the regular meeting and go into the special meeting?
I think we're just a few minutes away. Any other items on this agenda?
That takes care of the items called special.
Okay. Great. We do have a card on item number 7. Was that, that public hearing's been held before on that item?
Public hearing was held on that item.
Okay. Seeing no one asking for a public hearing to be opened again, we will keep that item. So we have items 5 special, item 8, and item 12, correct? And so we have the remainder of the agenda. Okay. Does anyone have a clock to see if we are at 10:45 and we could go through the special agenda? Looks 10:45 to me. Yes. Okay. 2 more minutes by the computer. Okay. Then we will go back to presentations, and I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Padilla for a presentation. I need to join him.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, Ms. Gruhl, you're a Kennedy High School graduate. Why don't you join me for this presentation? Kennedy High School is in the 12th District. I'm going to ask Councilmember Smith to join me as well. Colleagues, we have a legend in our midst, and this is a very special presentation honoring Coach Robert Francola, head coach of the football team at Kennedy High School, who is retiring after a 35-year coaching career, 20 of those years at Kennedy High School. Coach Francola is a Los Angeles native, graduate of Hollywood High School back in 1965. He went on to play a couple of years of football at Valley College, a year of football at Cal State University Northridge, before graduating, going into teaching, and beginning his football career. Before becoming head coach of the Kennedy High School football team, he did have an opportunity to coach at Hollywood High, at Birmingham High, and at Granada Hills High School. And I think while he was at Birmingham, he was privy to play against a great rivalry. Ramsey was a quarterback at Kennedy, I believe it was, and John Elway was quarterback at Granada Hills, a great era for high school football in the San Fernando Valley. His 35-year career includes 121 career wins at Kennedy High School alone, 16 playoff appearances, 4 league championships, and one city invitational title. I think those are some incredible numbers for any football coach at any level. But I think he's just as proud of this final year where the team posted a 9-2 record, another tremendous year, a tribute to our coach. And I think he's equally proud of his long-standing married for 23 years to Andrea Francola. Colleagues, we know that one of the great stories in the United States is when a quarterback of a high school football team dates a cheerleader. It's a great matchup. Well, here we have a high school football coach who for 23 years has been married to the cheerleading instructor at the high school level. So it's an adult version of one of the best romances that you can possibly have. For those who follow the Kennedy football tradition and institution, I think they rest assured that as we bid a thank you and a happy retirement to Coach Francola, that he leaves the position of coach in the hands of a very capable individual, Dion Lambert, a product of the program. Dion went on to play at UCLA, and I think UCLA is involved in a little game tomorrow here at the Coliseum. An all Pac-10 player and a second-round draft pick for the New England Patriots. So he leaves the team and the institution in great hands. Please put your hands together for Coach Robert Francola and a tremendous career he's had. Coach, I'm going to ask my colleagues here to say a few words, but I do present this resolution to you on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, and it's just great to see you surrounded by your coaches and a lot of your current and former players. Congratulations. You ought to be proud. Let me explain the presentation. Hold on. Don't fumble.
Mr. Smith would like me to do the Kennedy cheer, since I thought when you were talking about cheerleaders, Alex, you were going to make me do a cheer, because I was there during the time that Tom Ramsey was quarterback, and we won so many games, and it was I guess, proud to be a cheerleader for Kennedy High School. And my husband, much to his chagrin, recently I threw away my pom-poms that I'd had for 20-some-odd years in my garage. But Kennedy High School is one of the best high schools in this city. And surprisingly, until recently, Kennedy was the last school built until our recent addition of a number of schools here in the city of Los Angeles. It was supposed to open in 1971, but because of the earthquake, the Sylmar earthquake, it opened just a year or so after that. But this coach, for 20 years, I had graduated by the time you started to be coach, but Kennedy High School has a history of not only having a great coaching staff, but being able to ensure they instill in their players the importance of not only athletics, but education. And Kennedy has a great reputation, and this coach particularly has committed himself to the school, has a wonderful reputation, and I'm so pleased that you asked me to join you, Alex, to salute my alma mater and to salute this coach who's meant a lot to Kennedy High School and will, in the years to come, be remembered for his many wins and his friendship and leadership at Kennedy High School. So congratulations, Coach.
Councilmember Smith.
I'm very happy to add my name to that recognition. First of all, that Kennedy High School is one of the great high schools in my district. A tradition that goes back a long ways. The Kennedy High School of great academic as well as athletic prowess, produced people like Tom Ramsey and Garrett Anderson on the Angels, the world champion Angels. Great school, great institution with great traditions and winning traditions. And think about this coach, was 16 times in the playoffs in the 30-something year career. If you were in the NFL, they'd be paying you about $10 million a year to do that. But he chose to stay with the kids, and God bless him for that. It's a great institution. Coach, you've been a great champion out there at that school. You've done tremendous things for the Granada Hills community in bringing recognition to the San Fernando Valley in our athletic programs, and we're just proud of what you've done. And I'm proud to be here today with the cheerleader as well as the coach, and say thank you for everything you've given to the people and the kids particularly. They appreciate it, and you've been a great leader to them and put them on the winning ways in life, and God bless you for that. Good luck.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Francola.
I'd like to thank the City Council for this humbling award. It was my intention to do everything I could as a teacher and coach. That was done for me. I'm proud to be a product of Los Angeles Unified Schools. My coaching staff are all products of Los Angeles Unified Schools. Former coach and longtime friend Fred Grimes is here. Dion Lambert, who played for me, who will inherit the program, and he was at last night's UCLA practice at the invitation of Carl Durrell. And those of you that are SC fans have a little surprise, I think, for you. Dion says the Bruins are ready to go. Kevin Williams, who's our strength and linebacker coach, is here today, and our 4 of our 6 captains, Efren Lopez, Kenny Everett, Kyle Hill, and Aaron Bernal are here, plus many players and former players. Like I said, I'm humbled to be a part of public education, and 7 of my kids are now coaching and teaching in our area, so the circle of life continues. And I want to thank you for the recognition, and I appreciate it greatly. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Coach. I'd like to call on, at this moment, I'd like to bring to the microphone one of your former students for a few seconds. Ruben Zaragoza, can you come to the microphone, please? There's a very famous quarterback out of the San Fernando Valley. As a matter of fact, just a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, that they dedicated the field at Granada High School to John Elway, a tremendous human being and a great quarterback. Someone that I grew up watching because he's about my age. I grew up watching him do a phenomenal job, but I didn't see you play. But I heard that John Elway held some tremendous records as quarterback. Who broke those records? What younger quarterback in the San Fernando Valley actually broke John Elway's records? Who would that be?
It was myself, Councilman.
You broke those records. Congratulations.
What do you work for?
And I'm an employee, and I work for Councilmember Alex Padilla. So.
That's right. And I wanted to bring that out because it's important for people to understand that only a handful of these young, wonderful students actually go on to be phenomenal professional players, and as wonderful as John Elway is as a player and as a human being. But it's coaches like you who actually bring the best in them and actually get them to go on to college and do things, even though they might not be on the gridiron when they're 25 and 30 years old. They have you in their hearts because you taught them, you showed them, and they're wonderful human beings like Mr. Ruben Zaragoza. Congratulations.
I would like to add that Ruben's senior year as a quarterback of our team was one of the most glamorous years we've ever had, and watching Ruben's ability to compete and be a champion was astounding. It does not surprise me at all that he's here in the lap of government, and I told him that, well, he told me, as a matter of fact, one of these days he's going to be the mayor of this city, and I told him I would vote for him as well.
Thank you.
But he's a wonderful young man, and he's a credit to all of us.
Thank you for that confidence in him, and he probably wants to be mayor because you instilled that kind of confidence in him when he was a teenager.
And Coach, can we recruit you to help us out in the mayor council football game? I think we know who our quarterback is.
Okay. Councilmember Labange at Weiss's desk.
And members, I think if you look at our city and our challenges, and we talk about young people and talk about the problems, a coach is often the leader of the school that makes an absolute difference in how the whole community is. And for 30 years, you've made that difference there. It's a very special high school. I salute you. I just am proud as a Northern Leaguer that 3 out of the 4 schools are the invitation to Northern League: Eagle Rock, Wilson, and John Marshall, my alma mater, which is unusual because usually the Valley schools are the ones that are in the semis and the quarters as it is. But this year it happens to be the Northern League. But you made a difference, Coach, in the lives that are impacting others as your assistants are. And if we talk about trying to get more police officers, at the same time, I hope we get more coaches, not only just at our rec centers, but to help LA Unified, because it will get the young people involved in the right way, and also the drill teams and the cheer squads and all that band. It's because there's nothing like Friday Night Lights. And Eric Garcetti and I were able to provide that to Hollywood High for the first time this year. They don't have any lights. We brought big studio lights in, but it's just very special. So thank you, Coach, and all the administrators who gave you support, and the teachers who made sure the students passed the grades to make sure they were eligible for all the games. And good success to all of you. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations. Next, we have, for presentation, Councilmember Garcetti. And while he's preparing, I'd like to introduce If you'll please stand, the San Fernando High School ESL department, students and teachers are here. Please stand. Welcome to your city council chambers, and congratulations on your education and becoming fully bilingual individuals in this great city of Los Angeles. It's going to prepare you well for your future. Congratulations for being here, and I hope you enjoy your wonderful city hall. Thank you.
I'd like to invite our inspectors and from the SCEP program and our housing staff up here to join me for a very special presentation. Colleagues, there should be a red carpet out and a band playing music if I talk too long, because here in Los Angeles in the government, our government has won the equivalent of an Academy Award for government innovation, the highest honor accorded to the best, the most successful, the most innovative, the deepest, and the most impactful government programs in the country get from Harvard University's Kennedy School of Government an Innovation in Government Award. And this year, the Systematic Code Enforcement Program of the City of Los Angeles, the only program of its type in the country, successfully won that Academy Award. So let's give them a round of applause for that incredible honor. The SCEP program, I think many of us know, inspects about 150,000 units of housing here in Los Angeles. It's an investment program, it's a safety program, it's something that makes sure that people's quality of life also is as good as it can be. By the end of this year, every single rental unit in the city will have been inspected. 9 out of 10, congratulations, absolutely, 9 out of 10 properties in the city have a code violation. And the idea behind this is to try to correct them. Correction of these violations has resulted in $1.4 billion of investment in our communities. That means jobs, that means better housing, that means better quality of life. And the program not only increases the habitability of apartment units for individuals, but it's also a major vehicle for neighborhood preservation to make sure that that which makes Los Angeles neighborhoods unique continues. It also sends a good message to our landlord community as well, that every single unit should be up to code no matter what neighborhood we live in. And so many landlords are the ones who do that work, and we thank them for increasing the quality of the housing stock here. But also sends a strong message that we will not tolerate slum conditions in Los Angeles in 2005. It says that no matter how much money you pay in rent, that you as a Los Angeles resident deserve to have safe, clean, decent housing. This program in my own district, and I think we could probably mirror this statement out in all 15 districts, but it's had a huge impact. We had the largest number of code violations of any district in the city. And the correction of these code violations is producing healthier and more vibrant neighborhoods in places like Hollywood and East Hollywood, Silver Lake, Echo Park, Elysian Valley, Atwater Village, and Glassell Park. So it's with much gratitude that I congratulate the Housing Department for winning this award. And beyond being simply an innovation in government, as the award says, this represents the best that government can be: proactive, creative, and successful. And I know that this is a model that other cities are now looking at as ones that they would like to emulate, to see how we can be proactive instead of waiting for those calls to come in with complaints, where there is often retribution against the people who would make those calls. This is something that no tenant needs to call about. We make sure that those inspectors are out there proactively. So I congratulate Mercedes and Ken and Domingo, but most of all, I want to congratulate the inspectors, the paralegals, the clerical staff who have shown themselves to be outstanding public servants. So with this, it gives me great pride to present to Mercedes Marquez, on behalf of the entire City Council, this congratulatory certificate for winning the Innovation in Government Award from SCEP. And I know some other members of the council want to be heard too. But congratulations, Mercedes, and all of our inspectors. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Councilmember Reyes. Councilmember Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. First, I rise to congratulate not only the executives, Mercedes and company, because they've been strong stewards. They came in knowing what they were going to be facing, and they still walked into this position. They've administered incredible changes. But to the folks, the individuals that I see at those night meetings, that I see in those weekend meetings, that I see engaging the poor folks who are being, council colleagues, when I look at the council chamber, I'm not sure if we're understanding what's happening here, and I'd appreciate your attention. There's a lot of noise in this chamber. Thank you for your courtesy and your attention. I'm not sure if you understand the work this department is doing, and the way we're carrying on in this chamber, we're not giving them much respect. You're not taking the time to listen to the hard work these people do in the areas of need in the city. When you see kids and families living in the street because a landlord turned off their hot water or took out their toilet illegally, and these folks come forward and make a difference. They are social workers, they're financiers, they're inspectors, they're psychologists, they have hearts as good as gold, and we're not even listening. That's not right. These folks work hard. I want to acknowledge their hard work. They deserve the respect, and I appreciate your attention on this. They have won an award in the city where more than 70% are renters, where more than half are living at or below poverty, at a time when you have to have 3 families to pay for 1-bedroom apartment. And they're making a difference. I want to thank you. You deserve the attention. You deserve the accolades. I hope you don't give up. And maybe one day the court system will understand exactly what you need to make a difference. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Garcetti.
Please, Domingo.
On behalf of the Housing Department, I want to thank you for this acknowledgement. I want to say it hasn't been since 1992 that the City of Los Angeles was honored with an Innovations in American Government Award. So it's in its 18-year history. This is only the second time that the City of Los Angeles has been honored by Harvard with the Oscars of Government. So it is actually a very big thing. As a result of that, we have received a $100,000 grant from Harvard University to propose this program throughout the country. We're getting calls throughout. There's a video that has been made of the work fabulously done by a professional documentary company. A website has been set up on our program at Harvard University within the Kennedy School of Government to discuss it. I want to say to you that I am enormously proud to serve with these people. What you said is right. These folks, all of them, the men and women of SCEP, whether they're inspectors or paralegals or file clerks, give their heart. They see the very worst of the worst every day. They bring it home with them. They come to work with it feeling bad that they can't do more. And I want you to know that this is the very best that the city has to offer. $1.4 billion of reinvestment in our city because of their work. That means the housing is being upgraded without a subsidy from the city. It's all being done privately through the work that we do, and it's all paid for by fees. These folks are heroes. Nobody likes them because they go in and they do the hard work that they do. So they have rats running over them and roaches crawling. They have to be careful about how they go in with clothing. But they do it because that means that families have to live like that every day. They tolerate it for hours a day, but they're there to make sure that kids don't have to live like this every day. And I am proud to serve with them. I'd like to bring forward their leaders, Ken Simmons and Domingo Sauceda, who enjoy the respect of their troops and my enormous gratitude.
If you'll indulge me for just a couple of minutes, I first came to the city 5 years ago, and it was 5 years ago that I first wondered why on earth I had come to get involved with the SCEP program. 5 years ago, the SCEP program was just in a disaster state. It was completely stagnated because there was a lawsuit standing over it that didn't get resolved until it went to the Supreme Court. I would spend most of my days answering newspaper articles, editorials, criticizing the program, asking for its dismantling. And I could guarantee that every time I went to the Housing Committee, I could guarantee a half hour of public comment pointing out each and every deficiency of the program. So I wanted to start off by thanking Councilwoman Gruhl, Councilman Garcetti, who are two chairs during these rough times, Councilman Reyes, who's always been there for us, and all the other members of the Housing Committee for sticking with us, for giving us the time and the patience to let us get this program on the right track. Councilman Garcetti has pointed out most of the success of the programs as Councilman Reyes has. I should also let you know that we are the only agency that I'm aware of that embrace lead-safe practices in the state of California. You should know that medical research has shown that because lead paint is the culprit that has caused neurological damage of 1 out of every 10 children in this country. And this is a program that the inspectors embrace completely. And I want to really focus the attention on the inspectors because this is not just a matter of employees who are simply doing a good job and good public servants. These people are really the heart and soul of the program. If I could share just a couple instances, they continuously go beyond the inspection program. They run a toy drive for kids when they find certain conditions in the apartments. When we started residential hotels, they started a Thanksgiving drive. In fact, there was one incident, if I could share with you. We found a family of 8 living in a 90-square-foot dwelling, no cooking facilities. The inspectors took it upon themselves. They not only prepared the Thanksgiving dinner, cooked it, delivered it to them. I have another incident where, because we battle with some unscrupulous landlords who do not make repairs, in an incident where a hotel had no heat, they went on a blanket drive to collect the blankets to try to help the tenants. So I'd just like to take this opportunity to draw the attention to the inspectors and to thank them all for a job extremely well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, many thought it couldn't be done, but actually this December the 20th, the last residential unit, apartment unit, out of the 780,000 residential apartment buildings units in the city, the last one will be inspected this very month. This effectuated the correction of almost 2 million code deficiencies, and many of these deficiencies were life-threatening. But we couldn't have done it without the support of the council members and the mayor of the city, and for that, which made our job much easier and much more pleasant, knowing that you were all behind us and supporting us when we were doing this work. And again, I want to thank you for this recognition this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, and congratulations for bringing honor to the city of Los Angeles and proving that the people of the city of Los Angeles don't just pick up a paycheck. Their heart and soul is into their work, and we congratulate you for getting that recognition as far away as Washington. Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Like I said, like Academy Awards, there's great performances, there's tears, and we're all feeling good. So play the music and we'll get out of here. Thank you.
Thank you. With the membership of the council attendance being 13, we will now quickly go to the special agenda so that we could continue with that. We'll go back to presentations.
Garcetti, Huizar, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Padilla, 13 members present and a quorum.
Okay. Thank you.
The first items are items 1 through 3, are items for which public hearings have been held. On item 3, there are 3 reports on file. A motion is required. And on item 1, there is a new ordinance that has been circulated to all members.
Okay. On item 3, it's been moved by Zine, seconded by Wesson.
Special on number 2.
Okay. Number 2 called special by Councilmember Garcetti. Anyone else wish to call an item special? Items 1 through 3. Okay. Open the roll on those items. Close the roll. Tally the vote.
13 ayes.
13 ayes. Those items are approved.
Items 4 through 10 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay. Items 4 through 10. Anyone like to, council member like to bring any of those items special? 4 through 10. Councilmember Parks at Parks' desk.
amending motion that's being circulated, and also a direction on Special 3 that it be the Budget and Finance Report that we move that.
That was on item number 1, Councilmember Parks, and 3?
One, we'd like a reconsideration because there's an amending motion circulating, and then on item 3, we want to move the Budget and Finance Report as it's a specific change that is not in the personnel or the public safety report.
Okay, we'll take those actions in a minute. We're on items 4 through 10. Any specials on items 4 through 10? Seeing and hearing none, please open the roll. Close roll, tally the vote.
13 ayes.
13 ayes, those items are approved. Councilmember...
Mr. President, item close. Ready? Item 11 is a closed session item. Do you wish to hold that one on the desk?
Yes, please hold item 11 on the desk. Okay.
Now, do you wish to reconsider item number 1?
Yes. Open up the roll for reconsideration on item number 1. Close the roll. Announce the vote.
13 ayes.
13 ayes. Okay. Any actions on item number 1, Mr. Parks?
President, basically what we have before you is an ordinance that, in effect, assists landlords in the city of Los Angeles in providing Katrina and Rita victims that have evacuated to Los Angeles an ability to be housed in affordable housing, but yet does not restrict the landlords to the current rent stabilization ordinances for the year of January 1st to December 31st of 2006. This is also an emergency ordinance to make it effective as soon as possible. The amending motion that's being circulated merely adds some reporting times in that the 60-day report after the implementation of the ordinance, a 6-month report on evaluating whether this type ordinance should be put in place permanently for future emergencies, and then a third direction that asks for an after-action report at the conclusion of the program in March 2007. Okay. And I believe Mr. Garcetti may have some wording on C in that report, but this is the motion that we'd like to circulate and have attached to the report.
Okay. That motion has been circulated, that amendment has been circulated and explained by Councilmember Parks. Any other members like to comment? Seeing and hearing none, please open the roll on the item as amended. Close the roll. Announce the vote.
13 ayes.
13 ayes. That item is approved as amended. We will hold the other items on the desk. We'll go back to the regular agenda.
If we go forthwith.
Forthwith on special item number 1. We'll go back to the regular agenda and back to presentations. We have Councilmember Reyes. Is Councilmember Reyes available for presentation? No, not at this time. Next, we have, is Councilmember Parks ready for presentation?
We're waiting for the mayor. He should be here shortly.
Okay. We'll resume presentations in a few minutes. First item on the agenda.
Mr. President, do you wish to take public comment at this time?
General public comment will now be open. In the back. Okay. We have Lisa Milton, Alma Morales. Please line up behind the podium as I call your name. Lisa Milton, Alma Morales, Ms. Ford, Alberto Latoa, delegation from the South Central Farmers, please come forward. Good morning. Please proceed.
Good morning, City Council members. My name is Alberto Platoa. For 2 years, the South Central Farmers have presented themselves to this body. Yet, you have not moved one finger to preserve this much-needed green space in our community. Our farm provides our families with fresh fruits and vegetables on a daily basis. It keeps our children safe. By not acting, you're going to deprive our children from food, from healthy, nutritious food. So we're calling upon the mayor and the city council members to act immediately and find alternative sites for Mr. Horwitz. You have the power to do so. With the holiday season approaching, we're asking that you keep the food in our plates and that you allow the Lincoln Tendents to remain in their homes. The South Central farmers support 100% the Lincoln Tendents. You guys made a mistake, fix it. Aquí estamos y no nos vamos.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Genevieve Claverall.
I apologize, I'm Lisa Milton. I don't know whether you want me to speak now or later. I just missed my public comment.
No, you can speak now, please.
Thank you. Okay. My name is Lisa Milton. I'm the director of LA Voice. We're an interfaith network of congregations and schools. Nationally, we're in 150 cities and 18 states, but here in Los Angeles, we represent 20 congregations and a number of schools. I'm here today for two reasons. First of all is to let you know that there is a growing movement, a community-led movement in Hollywood to support the need for permanent supportive housing. We believe that this is a critical need in our city, and 2 years ago, 15 congregations came together in support of the need to get our people off the streets and into permanent supportive housing as a way to avoid sort of the kind of chronic needs of the homeless. So I wanted to just talk about that. This is going to be happening right now. The CRA is involved in the purchase of a property on Gower Street, which is actually in Garcetti's district. Secondly, I'd like to hand in a letter to Mayor Villaraigosa, if I may. I don't know. He's not here.
Forward it to him.
In his absence. I will take this to his office. Can I give it to somebody else here? Okay. So let me just finish. Okay. So I'll hand it to his office when I leave. Yesterday we held a press conference at Jefferson High School. We believe that 4,000 to 8,000 students every year are being unlawfully expelled from LAUSD. I think that we are moving towards what's likely to be a class action lawsuit against LAUSD. They are calling these expulsions an opportunity transfer. But unfortunately, they're an opportunity to know where students most often drop out of school after they're expelled, and they're using it as a way to get around state law. Because when you actually expel a student, what happens is that the student has rights under California state law. And by the district calling it an opportunity transfer, the students end up with absolutely no rights. This is happening to 4,000 to 8,000 students every year. In particular, we're following the case of two young boys who went to Jefferson High School who've been wrongly accused of gang involvement. They were expelled from their school a month ago. One of them was told to go to Roosevelt High School. When he and his mother went to Roosevelt, his name's David, and that's what this letter is pertaining to. When they went to Roosevelt, Roosevelt said, "We have no room for you here. What are you doing here? You don't belong here. We're not responsible for your education." And his mother said back, "Well, but they told us to send him here." And they give him, someone else will pass up, they give him a tiny little note, said, "This student not accepted." The student went back to Jefferson High School and has now lost a month of school. The student went back to Jefferson High School, and Jefferson said, "Your student belongs at Roosevelt. What are you doing? Actually, we might even take you to court." Blaming the parent for something that's the school district's responsibility. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention. We're going to be having another protest on Tuesday in front of the school board, and I just wanted to give you a heads up about it. I think that there's a direct connection between students being kicked out by the school district onto the streets without an education and the gang violence problems that we have in this city. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll call again Genevieve Claverall.
Good morning, council members. You know, I am extremely concerned that in this city and in this county, it is an habitual behavior to violate the Brown Act. And I want to demand an immediate cure of what just happened not too long ago. This morning, I went to attend the Cultural Affairs Commission. I had the agenda. The agenda put in chronological order, a few items to come for discussion. One of them is the Wall Last Memorial Project. a project I have asked and demanded action by this city. And Mayor Villaraigosa implies that ethics are going to change. Well, I think they're not changing. We have demanded repeatedly an audit for the World Last Memorial. It was approved. It was requested, including by Jack Weiss, etc. Gorky Del Carrillo refused to do it. Laura Schick also. What's going on? How many political favors are you paying back? But the reason I'm so angry is that when I went to the meeting a few minutes ago, oh, we changed the order. Oh, that item is already passed. We have already approved it. I demanded to get a copy of that item. Guess what? I was refused. I demand that that vote is rescinded. The public is entitled to any document necessary to take a vote. Your commission on a cultural affair breached the Brown Act. I demand to receive a documentation of that so-called mural, which you are paying $10,000 for it. The public is, not your private money. And the reason we have objected to many of the so-called panels is because they are appalling. Last week, we were able to block one of them who represented a child having letters carved in his face, full of blood, with a blood cross over his face. This is appalling. This is to go to a park where children are playing. I want that vote rescinded. I want to be notified of when that vote is going to occur, and I want the public notified and receive the documentation on that mural. I would like to be advised by your counsel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have additional speakers under general public comment. Alma Morales, Ms. F. Ford, Roberto Carvajal, and Sylvia Hawkins. Please come forward at this time.
Hello, Mr. Padilla and members of the council. I've been before you several times on the issue of bringing thoracic aversion therapy or Faradism to your rehabilitation centers in order to get people off of drugs and alcohol and other problems. And last time I spoke was at Van Nuys, where Knights of Columbus thought it was a good idea and they applauded it. I asked them, and I'm asking you again, if you could put some of your PR people to help me disseminate the information by calling people at the newspapers, Mexican newspapers, specifically Mr. Cardenas' PR people, Donna Espacio and Stacy Bellew. Mr. Reyes, Tony's PR people are Tony Perez and Monica Valencia. Mr. Padilla, I believe your PR person is Bill Maybe. And if you could please, direct these people to help me out, get the word out on this. It'll help our people tremendously. I know it's not really something that'll help you out because if people stop smoking and drinking, it'll reduce your tax base and we won't have to lock up so many people. So that'll also hurt, we'll have to lay off a few policemen and jailers. So if you could please, give me a call. I got groups at Yahoo. I got web pages, faradism.net. If somebody could get in touch with me on that. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Felicia Ford. Of course, our children cross an angry sea. I'm here to speak on the Woodlawn matter. I am the president of the foundation. I'm not a woman that comes with confusion. I come with honesty, integrity, and dignity. And I also come to disseminate information over the next several weeks pertaining to the corruption and fraud and dishonesty and the big grave robbing of our loved ones. In particular, at these cemeteries that are mass destruction, we are separating the human race, and unfortunately that human race is blacks and Hispanics. I will be discussing Woodlawn Memorial Park Foundation, Woodlawn Memorial Park and Lincoln Cemetery and Angeles Abbey and Paradise. I pray that someone will listen to what I am saying. because as I indicated to you, they are declaring war on our family members. These matters have not been resolved. They've only been resolved with regards to greed to a wide range of attorneys. And the family members are left with nothing but grief and looking for their loved ones. I hope that I don't have to be the woman to come and tell them where their families are buried. I hope I am not the woman that comes and tells them where they've done what they've done with all of these bodies. This is a city problem, a wide range city problem, and I hope that all of you here, I want to say that while I'm talking, I've been down here a couple of times, you have got to have some rules of decorum. It is really pathetic and almost a little bit embarrassing.
Ma'am, we're listening. We're listening.
It's not that you're not listening. It's the audience with all the chitter-chatter and the talking and the cell phones going on. No disrespect. You are listening to me, and I didn't mean you directly or some of the city council peoples here. But your deputies are doing as much as they can, and I sit here and listen quietly trying to hear your business. But it is so noisy. And I've been to several cities,
Well, please continue with your remarks.
Okay.
We do have other speakers waiting behind you.
Okay, well, that kind of concludes my remarks, and I will be here. I will pay this $16 and $12, as I had mentioned a couple of days ago, for the parking. You've taken all the meter parking for us to park, to come down here and to speak on city business. I truly believe that you need to look into that, because all of you have parking passes. Thank you
very much. Next speaker, please.
Good evening. My name is Ms. Sylvia Hawkins. We must say yes to tenant rights to vote on percentage of people whom are paying their rent in Venice, California area. All tenants in this area must be aware of illegal contractors, Sambro franchise offering Italian food, and building of concession and complex of new buildings. These groups are with other governments that are from overseas and local governments here in USA, whom we are at Hawkwood 8, apartment Hawkwood 6 with. We do not want firms or other contractors from other countries and their government working in the United States. We only want United States of America contract builders, as we work on all 58 states, independent from all 114 other countries and governments. On number 10, let's keep this on LA map, yes. I believe that First Transit Incorp. is making a wise decision in dealing with Lado Transit - Wilmington Transit in Los Angeles. It is true that regular buses and rapid buses must go out of business because of the lack of training for the bus drivers, no plan for their future retirement, and also their driver plan of working hours is off. Therefore, these drivers don't have a plan for sick leave because lack of part-time working week per hour. Thank you very much. My name is Ms. Sylvia Hawkins.
Okay, is Alma Morales still here? Okay. And after Ms. Morales, we're going to general public comment from Van Nuys.
First, I need a translator, and I need to pass for you these two papers for everybody.
Sure.
And I got to say two sentences in English, and then I got to speak Spanish.
Okay.
My name is Alma Morales from LA Voice. LA Voice is part of the national network organization. I'm here right now because I want to request that you investigate the school district illegal expulsion of around 6,000 of students every year. The schools are using so-called opportunity transfer to expel thousands of kids and avoid a state law that gives students more protection. El día de ayer, dos estudiantes de la escuela Jefferson tuvieron una conferencia de prensa donde ellos
Yesterday, two students at Jefferson High School had a press conference where
para decir cómo ellos fueron negados sus derechos.
to inform people of how they were denied of their rights.
y sacados de la escuela sin ninguna razón ni justificación.
They were taken out or suspended from school without any reason nor any justification.
Uno de ellos, David, tiene más de un mes sin ir a la escuela y ninguna escuela lo quiere aceptar. Él está perdiendo todo este tiempo de clases.
One of them, whose name is David, has been without attending school for about a month, at least a month. No school is willing to accept him, so he's been missing days of school and work during that whole month.
Después de la conferencia de prensa, nosotros salieron las noticias, nosotros dejamos el número de teléfono de la oficina y aproximadamente 15 padres de familia nos llamaron en ese momento que están teniendo la misma situación.
After the press conference where the phone number of the organization was included, we received about 15 phone calls of parents who are going through the same situation.
Fueron en diferentes áreas como Eagle Rock, Sur Centro, el este de Los Ángeles. Entonces, para nosotros es importante pedirles que investiguen, que hagan una investigación qué es lo que está pasando y cuántos estudiantes están siendo sacados injustamente de su escuela. Gracias.
This included different areas of Los Angeles, including Eagle Rock, South Central, East Los Angeles. And what we're asking for is for an investigation so we can find out the number of students are being suspended from school without any justification or reason. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And for our final speaker under general public comment, if our wonderful technology wizards can take us to Van Nuys, California, so we can hear from Daniel Wiseman. Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Padilla, members of the council, once again, I'm Dr. Daniel Wiseman from Van Nuys and from many of the neighborhood councils throughout the city. I want to thank you again for the opportunity and the resources that you've dedicated out here in Van Nuys that makes it possible for us to talk to you directly without some of the difficulties one of your preceding speakers mentioned. I hope to see this as a much more active location and have many other people coming here and speaking to you. Today I'd like to talk to you about two things. Ms. Gruhl, as you know, yesterday we had another tragic accident in our Orange Line. It was in Mr. Cardenas's area, and it's about 3 blocks from my home, on Kester Street as the bus went across. The bus hit, or was hit, I guess, by a car that went through a red sign, a red light there. It happened at Woodman, just a few, well, maybe a mile down the street. Again, we must make those bus crossings safe. I am sorry, the MTA, the council, who says that we are doing everything we can, is not doing everything it can until it installs physical blockage. To hear a policeman on the television last night, to see the pictures on television last night, saying that this is all the fault of these crazy pedestrians, isn't doing everything we can. People are going to run red lights. People are going to get in the way of buses. We have to make it physically as impossible as we can, so that they're protected, for everyone is protected, everyone riding on that bus, everyone walking on that street. Thank you. I look forward to seeing some neighborhood council involvement in this as well. You've heard me say that on every issue that I can. Here's another one where the neighborhood councils have not been given direct involvement in trying to solve a problem that goes right across our San Fernando Valley. The other item that I'd like to mention to you in the time allowed to me is the budget. I have sent to all 15 members of the council, I've sent to the mayor's office some comments on the mayor's budget process and how it's only one of the 4 budget processes that we have. I hope you and your staff will read the material that I've sent to you, and I hope that you will not find it in this usual receptacle that I know is the commonplace for many of these letters that you receive. Again, the mayor did not involve the neighborhood councils in his development of his budget process this year. Mr. Hahn was doing so, but with a new mayor and the changeover, it didn't happen. I hope you members of the council will use your influence to get more neighborhood council involvement. In the next few weeks, we're going to be having meetings here in Van Nuys and elsewhere to go over some more procedures. The various representations from the neighborhood councils are still from the neighborhood councils. They're not peripheralized. They're not out in the stakeholders where it really belongs. I hope you can help to bring that about. Again, my thanks for the opportunity to speak to you in this way from this location. I hope you will be hearing from many, many more of my neighbors who will, I'm sure, appreciate the ability to speak to you effectively, efficiently, and conveniently. Thank you very much for hearing me.
Thank you, Dr. Wiseman. This concludes general public comment for today's meeting. Colleagues, before coming back to the few items that we have called special, I believe Mr. Parks is now ready for his presentation. Please welcome the mayor to be part of this presentation. And Mr. Parks, is it...
Who else went to UCLA? Any more Bruins?
I think we know by the music who's on a winning streak here. A few years ago, it was at the other school. But Mr. Parks, take it away.
Well, we're here today because we have a little rivalry, and the only college that messed this up in the last 10 years has been MIT, that messed up the BCS ratings last year. And we're not going to comment on who went to MIT. But in fact, we're here today because the USC group, and although Mrs. Perry's not here, Mr. Smith, Sharon So, who is a fan of USC, never seen a game because she shuts her eyes during the game. But we're here to make really a friendly wager with the mayor. But before we make that wager, we just want to get the history straight. We're very pleased that in this city we have the ability to have two major universities that we can have this kind of fun to talk about. Great universities, great football programs, and also the battle of the Victory Bell that's coming up. Although we're not going to comment that UCLA has had 3 weeks to prepare, not going to even comment on that. But that, we just think that they need all the help they can get. In this city with 85,000 people showing up tomorrow, several months ago we asked many of the UCLA fans to make sure the women and children were inside because of the game. But this is the thing that we think, and looking towards our bet coming up, let me give you the 10 reasons why it's great to be a Trojan. 10 reasons. USC graduates designed the LA City Hall, Department of Water and Power, St. Basil's Catholic Church, and Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. The Academy of Motion Pictures and Arts has nominated at least one USC alumnus every year since the inception of the Academy Awards in 1929. USC Physicians has served more than 1 million patients each year. The USC Marching Band is the only band in America that has earned a platinum record. In fact, they've earned 2. Since 1912, USC is the only university in the world that has had a gold medal winning athlete in every Summer Olympics. In 1970, the 1970 alumnus, Neil Armstrong, was the first man on the moon. Alfred Newman composed the USC Regal Procession March, Conquest. USC is the largest private employer in the city of Los Angeles. And in fact, the southwest corner of the Pueblo of Los Angeles, the original land grant given by the King of Spain in 1781, is at the corner of Figueroa and Exposition. They clearly knew a great university was coming. We also know that since 1888, USC has amassed an all-time won and loss record of 707 to 297, which is almost 70%. The December 1998 Sports Magazine ranked USC as the number 4 all-time college program of the 20th century. USC's record against Pac-10 opponents is 367 and 153 with 29 ties, again, almost 70%. Since 1959, the Trojans have won the conference championship 15 times and tied for the title on 6 other occasions. USC is the nation's 4th best bowl winning percentage, 64%, amongst the 65 schools that have made at least 10 appearances. 10 appearances, and the 29 Rose Bowl appearances is an all-time best. The USC Trojans' overall bowl mark is 27-15, including 21-8 at Pasadena on New Year's Day. Those are just some of the figures that we thought it would be important for you to know, and we're going to give the mayor a little time to tell us. We're going to give the mayor a little time to talk about why it's good to be a Bruin.
Well, first of all, thank you very much.
Sergeant.
Thank you very much, Sergeant. Let me just say, this is going to be an exciting weekend, and it's going to be an exciting weekend because the winner is going to be the city of Los Angeles. We are so lucky to have the national champion Trojans, USC, such a great world-class institution, and also my alma mater, UCLA, 9-1. And I think we all know it's not about the record on that Saturday afternoon. It's going to be about the game. And it's going to be a great game because we have 2 of America's greatest football teams in the nation. And I have great respect for the athletes. Let me say this, because I know what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm going to be at the game, and of course I'm sitting with Steve Sample, and I'm going to get booed because of this wager. And but you know, look, you gotta show your colors. And I went to UCLA. But let me just say, I have great respect for the athletes and the students at USC. No one can deny that it's a great world-class institution and that they have an awesome undefeated football team. But I must say that my heart has always been and will always be with the Bruins. Except on January 4th, if SC's the victor, I'll be their biggest fan because I work there and I have a great deal of respect. In fact, I don't even know if it's known, but I'm actually going to be the commencement speaker this year for both UCLA and SC. So I feel very blessed by that. But I want to say a few reasons why it was great to go to UCLA. First of all, one of the greatest mayors ever to serve, the greatest mayor ever to serve the city of Los Angeles, Tom Bradley, attended UCLA. That's right. In addition, 1 in every 140 Californians has a UCLA degree. And I can tell you that that is a very special thing. 2 mayors have graduated from UCLA, obviously Tom Bradley and myself. There are 31 academic departments at UCLA that rank among the top 20 in their field. 13 are among the top 10. The Daily Bruin has a distribution of approximately 20,000 at more than 100 on and off campuses. The Daily Trojan has a daily distribution of 9,000. UCLA has won more NCAA team championships than any school in the nation, 97. Yeah. UCLA holds a record 11 NCAA basketball championships, 10 of which were won with the legendary John Wooden. The UCLA Film and Television Archive is the largest university-based film and television archive in the world and is second to the Library of Congress. And UCLA is home to the first open heart surgery in the Western United States, and it was performed at UCLA Medical Center in 1956. We rank #1 among American colleges and universities conferring PhDs to minority students, and rank among the top 5 major universities in granting a BA and a master's degree to minorities. So that's great. That's UCLA. Now,
Before you get to your bet,
yes,
Mr. Smith, please.
and then we're going to get to the bet.
Yeah, then we get to the bet.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you. I didn't plan to talk, but I'm glad that the Bruins brought their teddy bears. That's wonderful. It makes it easier for you on Saturday afternoon to cry. And you know, we don't have teddy bears at USC. We have national championship trophies, and I'll take that any day. But it's great to be here, and it's a great institution, this great rivalry. I'm one of those fortunate LA citizens, and there's many of us out there that went to both schools. And I'm very proud of the fact that I went to both schools. But on sports day, I'm a Trojan, and I'm going to be out there rooting against you, Mr. Mayor. And at the end of the day, the city of LA is the winner, as you said. And on January 4th, you can come to the national championship game with me. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, you're going to do your
Well,
bet?
all right. No, I think you're supposed to go first.
Okay, I'll go my
because
bet.
mine is off of yours.
Okay. All right. We got, for Jan Perry, Mr. Mayor, she's going to offer up a tea for 2 at Lady Effie's at the Tea Parlor, a meal for 2 at Cheek and Eat Shoe at La Paloma Restaurant, and a gift certificate at the 27th Street Bakery. Now, the 8th District is going to offer up a prize of the first 2 tickets to the 2009 NFL season in the Coliseum, a goodie bag of treats from our Hostess Bakery that's been in Chesterfield Square for 50 years. Also, the #1 barbecue place in the city, Phillips Barbecue in Leimert Park, a dinner. The Lula Mae Washington Dance Theater is going to offer you dance lessons. And then I'm going to speak for Mr. Smith and myself and Jan Perry that if by a stroke of lightning that USC loses, we will wear a UCLA shirt during the next session of council. And then we also, this is a certificate that each year we hope that it moves whoever wins gets to keep this. So we're going to offer all that up.
I'll do another one that says UCLA and USC.
Okay, Mr. Smith has some things.
Okay.
We're also going to take you, and anyone from UCLA that wants to, horseback riding again in Chatsworth. We know you like that a lot. We're going to have dinner at the famous Munchbox Hamburger, which is a restaurant out in the San Fernando Valley. It's a historical monument. And I'll take you to the best deli in the city of LA. It's no longer downtown. It's in Brent's Deli in the San Fernando Valley.
That's great. Boy, I'm going to eat well, no matter what. Okay, if USC happens to upset UCLA, I will take dance lessons from Bernard Parks. I will give the Parks family, I'll do you one up, my friend. You're giving me 2 tickets to the 2009 NFL season opener. I'll give the Parks family a private box at the Memorial Coliseum in 2009. Yeah. I'll take you to lunch at La Luz del Dia at Alvera Street, and I'll wear Bernard's USC hat and scarf when I paint the Hollywood sign on Monday. That's if we happen to get upset. I just want to finally say it's great fun. I wanted to come by here because I think all of us are very, very proud of the Trojans and the Bruins. It's going to be a great game. Los Angeles is going to be the beneficiary, and no matter what happens, we're going to have a national champion. And so I look forward to this friendly bet, and I'll be wearing my colors. Well, I'm not sure I'm going to wear. I am going to be sitting. I'm going to be sitting with President Sample. So I think the least I could do is come neutral. Yeah.
You may not want to wear them that day.
Ed has something he wants to add that we're going to.
Yes.
To join in the fun, should SC win, we will also wear the USC T-shirt, and vice versa. We'll be looking forward to seeing you. Of course, yes. Well, come on, I got to join the fun here. So that'll be something we can all do.
Okay. You know, one thing, I appreciate the mayor being here, and we are having great fun, but he made one comment, the Daily Bruin has more of a readership than the Trojan, but one thing we want you to know, the Trojan still beats the LA Times on circulation, so.
He said that.
Not yet.
Lightning will strike.
You can
Thanks,
delete those
everybody.
pictures now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Festivities to be continued. Tom, please don't take a header in council chambers. Festivities to be continued tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. Mr. Clerk, next item of official city business, please.
Item 5 was called special by Councilmember Smith.
Mr. Smith, we ready for item number 5? Here he comes.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to point out there's two things in here that I think we really need to think about, and certainly I have no objection to moving these forward, but one is that in the policy it asks for the fire department to have the ability and building safety on vegetation around homes that is in our city. We actually have a motion in committee right now that does that. I have no objection to going forward, but it's really a local issue that we can resolve locally, and whatever happens in Sacramento, it's fine, but we have that motion in council. It's a motion I introduced last year before the fires, actually, and we need to proceed with that. I wish Mr. Weiss was here, but I'd like to just get that process going, get it through committee, because it is a local control issue that's within our purview right now to do. I don't think we really need state legislation to do it. If the mayor wants to go forward with that, that's fine. But secondly, in the issue of the 218 as it relates to streetlights, and I see Ed Abraham is here from our street lighting division. One of the things that LA needs to do, and I've mentioned to him and the city attorney, is we have to do what other cities are doing. And the other cities are now going out, instead of asking people to support an increase for their street lighting systems, they're going and asking people if they're opposed to it to let them know. So the burden rests on those that are in opposition to say to the city, we don't want it, versus those that want it having to say to the city, we want it. And we've run into problems in this city where we've had to turn off people's street lights because we don't get enough people saying yes. It's always hard to get people to respond to these notices, and so many cities have put the burden on the people who are opposed to tell the city and let them get 50%. And so I really think, Ed, we need to just go to the city attorney and get that process solved locally without even have to worry about tax increases, because people, when asked if they want their street lights on or off, will always say, keep them on. I don't mind paying the extra $4 a year or whatever it is, because it's usually very minimal. But it's a system of 218 that we've allowed ourselves to get sucked into that makes it too hard for us to get the majority vote. And so we just have to do it the other way, which many cities in California are now doing. And so I'd urge just to look at that rather than looking at going to 218 in the way that is mentioned in this policy, because that's the proper way. I'm not going to break that out today. I wanted to bring that to the council's attention because there's two issues that we can resolve right here in the city. We don't need to go to Sacramento about, but if the mayor wants to take those policies to Sacramento, that's fine. But those are two issues we can easily resolve right here.
Ms. Hahn.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I applaud you, Councilman Smith, on that. As you know, I've been working very hard on the street lighting districts in the city of Los Angeles by clarifying the ballots, making them easier for people to read. Then when I know there's one going on in my council district, I actually write personal letters to either homeowners or business owners, letting them understand what the process is. And so far, that's really helped, but I think your idea is much better. At the end of the day, I think people are shocked when we turn the lights off. When the light poles are standing in their neighborhood, and then we have to turn them off because of that vote. But I applaud you. I was wondering if Kevin Sable could come up to the table just on this item. And I understand that this is the mayor's sort of legislative agenda, but it's mainly has been come from city departments that have made requests to the mayor's office on possible legislation. I was just thinking that one glaring omission in the legislative agenda for next year would be something to do with the Port of Los Angeles, America's port, whether it be with security dollars or environmental mitigation dollars. And I know this is legislation that is looking for an author, but I'm hopeful that you are in discussions with the port officials in terms of possible legislation that might really boost up port security dollars and environmental mitigation dollars particularly for our port. I wonder if you want to comment on that.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman Hunt. Kevin DeSable, Deputy Mayor for Intergovernmental Affairs for the Mayor's Office. There are basically three areas in which we're dealing with port security, obviously one on the federal level, and we've been pretty successful in scoring federal resources for port security. The second is that there's an ongoing discussion regarding the housing infrastructure bond on the state level, and we are in discussions not only with the port, but also with the legislative leadership in Sacramento as well as the administration.
Thank you. And then, of course, there are some other, there's other legislation that's pending that we have gone on record supporting, and I'm hopeful. One of them is a redevelopment bill that would make the Port of Los Angeles territory a redevelopment area. And then take a percentage of the tax increments for the port tenants that could be used back into the communities of Wilmington and San Pedro.
Yes,
and
that is pending in our program.
And we're on record supporting that, so I'm hoping we'll do that. And the other one I'm hopeful that we will take a good hard look at is the Torlakson bill. That is everything from infrastructure to goods movement to port security, and I would hope that the mayor would take a lead in lobbying for more port security money in that bond issue, because I think that's the one area that it's lacking. And infrastructure and good movements and everything wonderful will be worthless if we cannot make sure that the port is secure.
Yes, ma'am. Point well taken.
Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to thank the Mayor's Office, Mr. Tebow, for your great work in pushing forward these items on this agenda. But a few years ago, we started working with the state and the school district to look at what impediments, what barriers exist that prevent us from building housing with schools either adjacent to, on top of, near, getting creative. My understanding is that on two occasions we tried to put together scenarios like that the state rules prevented certain scenarios from evolving. And I just want to bring this to your attention at this point. Perhaps in the next year we can start studying how we can move in a direction we have that flexibility. As you know, there's going to be another round of development going on with the schools. We no longer have, I think we've picked all the low-hanging fruit in terms of what land we can build on without displacing people. This next round will be a real challenge for the city, because they will continue building schools. The question becomes, what will happen to those homes? Where will they be built? And where will those people live? And I'm hoping we get the flexibility to get more creative in how we deal with these scenarios and minimize the displacement of homes because of schools. It's a tough situation I think we're in as a city, as a region. But I'd like to pull some of that focus, given the work that Senator Goldberg was doing. And I'll be more than happy to work with your staff, and we can start analyzing, breaking down where are the opportunities and where are those barriers and where can we get that flexibility. So I just want to put that on the record and on the table, and thank you for your hard work.
Mr. Reyes, thank you for your comments, sir. I just want to say that that at least on the local level, particularly the passage of the latest school construction bond here locally, that the mayor and the school district is very united on joint use efforts, much more sort of cooperative and coordinated than it's ever been, and we look forward to working with your office on those issues.
Well, we did run into some barriers, and we did go through some brain damage trying to do it on 2 or 3 different cases. We were successful in 2 when 1 blew up because of the state rules. So again, if we can get to that point, that'd be great, and I appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes.
Ms. Gruhl.
Thank you very much, Mr. Padilla. I just wanted to highlight and thank the Mayor's Office on 2 particular items that I have been interested in. I know my colleague Tony Cardenas on our ad hoc previously and Bernard and Greg would join this, which is one on the information sharing that we've requested, again, AB 63, and the continuation of that information, and also looking potentially at EDD information that we would be able to do. When we spoke to Antoinette Cristoval the other day, you know, the amount of money, the millions of dollars we received based on just information sharing has been critical, and so we think that's an important aspect of this legislative package. If we have other, I know this is based on some departmental presentations to the mayor's office. Additionally, if we have some other legislative ideas, and both CLA and mayor's office, is it clear to me that it's January 20-something that we have to be able to submit, kind of go on record here as far as asking people to prepare that legislation, not support, you know, introduce legislation, but those that we would like to have as part of a bigger package?
January 27th is the deadline for a member of the legislature to request that a bill be drafted. So our deadline is many weeks before that. That's why the package was brought by the mayor's office today.
Okay. Great. Well, again, I
But
think...
at any time, you can, of course, add something to the program.
Well, we would work closely with the mayor, you know, mayor's office as we see some legislative packages that we're interested in and moving forward, but know that time is of the essence. So thank you. This is the first time since I've been on the city council that I've seen this kind of cooperation and bringing by the mayor's office to the city as a package. So appreciate the leadership there. Thank you, Mr. Padilla.
Thank you, Ms. Gruhl. Are the members wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, that is approved. And for the record, colleagues, all items approved today shall be transmitted forthwith. Next item, please.
Item 8 was called special by Councilmember Weezer, and an amending motion has been circulated.
Mr. Weezer, item number 8.
Thank you, Mr. President. Do we have public comment first, or is this the time to?
Well, we can go straight to public comment if you'd like to offer some opening remarks.
Sure.
That's appropriate as well. Okay, we'll go straight to public comment. The council calls forward Teresa Marquez, Victoria Torres, Robert Jimenez, Miguel Flores, Jose Aguilar. Please come forward at this time. There are other cards submitted under public comment. Let me just bring you up in groups at a time. If you would form a line behind the podium, that would expedite our hearing. Go ahead.
Thank you. And before I start saying anything, I want to congratulate Councilman Weezer and Mr. Wesson. My name is Teresa Marquez, and I just come before you. I'm a resident of Boyle Heights, and I understand the need for a police department. We have, even though I might be prejudiced, but we do have one of the best police departments, and they're doing a great job. And they do need a new building, and that's way overdue. I understand there's some other issues in regards to the people that were relocated, but we need to, I'm going to ask to please go forward with this, because the planning had been scheduled to move, and yet the community wanted them to stay there, not to relocate someplace else. Now that they decided to stay there and plan it, now there's issues about the property they're taking. I just want to be able to go ahead with this project because we are overdue for a better police department with a state-of-the-art technology. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Council. Congratulations to the new council members. I'm here today to support the new police station in Boyle Heights. Over 25 years ago, they gave the funding to the Valley. I think we deserve a new station, and I know that the officers will have better communication with the community if they have a new up-to-date station, so I'm in favor of it.
Your name, ma'am?
Victoria Torres.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Robert Jimenez, and I'm the president of the Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council, and I come on behalf of the Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council. Along with me is the City Oversight Officer of the Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council, Rosalie Gorola. And I come here before you seeking respect and recognition, as many of you given to some of these universities that you've showcased, and to the unions that walk through this halls, and to the city departments that you've awarded. With regards to this issue, on April 8th, I came before the City Council issuing a community impact statement regarding this Hollenbeck Police Station. We felt that the city erred in its process in redeveloping this police department, and we requested some remedies. To date, we have seen nothing from either the city, any departments, any letter with regards to the status of these remedies. And for that reason, I'm here to go ahead and to get beyond this, because you will hear discussion for and against. And we need to get beyond this. And we would have liked the status on those remedies to get beyond. Thank you.
Thank you. I have cards from Miguel Flores, Jose Aguilar, Sylvia Hawkins, Monica Harmon, and Marta Cisneros.
Monica Harmon. Congratulations, Jose, and I look forward to working with you in the community. Congratulations, Mr. Garcetti. Someday I'll see you in Washington. I'm here in support of the new Hollenbeck Police Station being built. Hollenbeck Police Station has many good memories for me. I was an explorer while I was in high school at Hollenbeck, and there are great relationships with the officers and the community, and we are here on behalf of the officers to be their voice. They need a new police station. It is the only police station in the Hollenbeck Division where the detectives are housed half a block up the street. So our patrol officers, literally, when they come and bring suspects to the station, they have to go up a block to talk to the detectives. The other thing is there's homes that have been vacated behind the station for over a year, and now they're becoming havens for gangbanger loitering, drugs, and so forth. They need to be demolished. I understand there is a position that some people have that some of the residents behind the stations were evacuated in a very poor manner, and I think that should be addressed. However, our officers at Hollenbeck Division, under the leadership of Captain Fierro, have done such a great job for the community. They deserve a new police station, so I strongly urge a yes vote on number 8. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jose Aguilar. I'm also a PAC member, Redevelopment Advisory Committee member, Housing Chair. I'm also Neighborhood Council Executive Board, and I just want to state this for the record, that I don't believe that those 200 residents received their due process of law. I don't believe that they actually received, I know some of them received mediocre relocation funding, and they could have done a way better job as far as providing them with first-time homebuyers programs or providing the 200 people with some type of better relocation packages. The fact of the matter is there's no record as far as that I've ever seen of these people being taken care of in any fashion, any way. They were simply removed in a very highly unethical way. I also believe that that the EIR, if it was done correctly, would have mitigated these 200 people that were displaced. And the fact of the matter is that that wasn't done, and the people were not taken care of. And we had these people before our neighborhood council. We petitioned HOND, we petitioned Veragosa, and now we're petitioning Mr. Huizar to postpone this vote until we have a meeting with the affected residents and your office to try to see if we could coordinate something so we can make this palatable for our community. I don't believe this fire station should add to gentrification in our area or should adversely affect the residents in our area or our tenants. I think if we could do this with respect and dignity to our residents, there's a way we could find an out. But if you continue to violate their civil rights and don't give the residents their proper respect, then I don't think this police station will probably go through. I'm hoping that you look out for the residents and you make sure that they do receive adequate relocation money, and you make it known for the record that you can't displace 200 people like that without giving them the due process of law.
Okay.
Just want to make that. I want to submit that for the record.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next speaker, please.
My name is J. Miguel Flores, recent California bar passer. How can I oppose a police station project? I too am for police officers getting the tools they need to fight crime in these days and the increasing threats of terrorism facing our city. These are important goals. However, in regards to this project, all those objectives have been sacrificed to political interests. The Bureau of Engineering has readily admitted that this project was a political consideration. The decision to cite this was political. That is arbitrary and capricious. You cannot cite something because someone wanted it. You have to have objective criteria to cite police station projects. How can the police department rely on the inexperience, inexpertise of residents who have no experience in these matters? We are facing a post-September 11th world, ladies and gentlemen. As a former resident of the city of New York, I'm frankly disgusted by these actions that the city is condoning a police station project that was based on arbitrary and capricious action. Second, we're here today to review the EIR. If you turn to the page on clarifications, modifications, you have clarifications on the population and housing. The purpose of the Environmental Quality Act is to evaluate the environmental price tag from beginning to end. That was the ruling in NRDC versus City of LA, where the Attorney General of the State of California told the City of LA, the point of CEQA is so the public knows the environmental price tag. Now we learned the environmental price tag that requires the displacement of 217 people. You will notice in the EIR it says 217 people would be displaced. That is inaccurate, that is false, that is misleading. This EIR is fraudulent, this whole process is fraudulent, ladies and gentlemen, because a couple paragraphs before we're readily told these people have already been displaced. Which is it? Mr. Huizar, when I spoke to you in this matter at the Puente Learning Center, you even encouraged me to litigate this. How can you ask your fellow council members to vote for this project and encourage one of your constituents to litigate this project? I do not understand that. Mr. Padilla, I attended your environmental justice workshop up in Pacoima, and I asked you about this project. You told me you had nothing to do with it. This project displaced 217 people, and they had every right to be here on this day to petition you and tell you, please consider an alternative. That is the point of CEQA, ladies and gentlemen. These people had every right to be here and say, please consider another site that doesn't involve taking away my home. As Mr. Reyes pointed out, each day working families have a difficult time finding housing in this city because of high rent costs, because each day they have to work hard every day to pay more for the rent. Maybe that's why I'm here alone. But I will stand up for the process of law, which is what this police station stands for, and that is why I'm opposed to this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Sylvia Hawkins, followed by Martha Cisneros, Ken Bernstein, Roland Silva, Frank Wade, Ernest Sanchez, and Cookie Lomel.
Good morning. Again, my name is Ms. Sylvia Hawkins. We must say no on building jail cells and police stations underground. We must recognize that open jail built on top is the best way to go, that we may see through jail cells. 60% of inmate males and females since 2001 has escaped to Africa through hidden jail cells connected to churches, tunnel, escape out, which is going back to Africa. We must be very aware of the escape plan that they have done is not dealing with breaking through a ceiling or using equipment to escape out of jail. It is a plan that is called 3 strikes and you're out, which we are believing as people, that once these inmates are in jail for life, that they are in jail. 3 strikes, you're out mean you are back out to Africa freely and not seen again in Ukraine area. Therefore, the inmates are not in jail. They are not permanent in jail. So we want to say no to building things that are hidden jail cells. We want to go to seeing the inmates. We want to go to neck off generation, where we can basically say that we have been beaten in bail and bond, we have been beaten, and life in prison. Inmates, 3 strikes you out. So we want to go to send the inmate go through deeper trouble than life in prison, 3 meals and a crop.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Sylvia Lynn Hawkins.
It's now good afternoon, council members. Congratulations, Jose. My name is Martha Cisneros. I'm resident of Boyle Heights, and I am in support of the police station. We worked very hard to get this going, and we do not want, I do not want it postponed any longer. The community deserves the police station. Our officers deserve a facility that they can do the best that they can as they're doing now. Thank you.
Good afternoon, council members. Ken Bernstein with the Los Angeles Conservancy. When this project originally came forward, we had significant concerns about the proposed demolition as part of the station expansion of a very significant building in Boyle Heights. It's a modest 1930s structure, now used as a church, but it was called the Vladeck Center originally. And it was a center of education, of labor organizing, of community organizing in Boyle Heights when it was the center of Los Angeles' Jewish community. It was the home to the Boyle Heights chapter of Workmen's Circle, which was a national fraternal organization on Jewish culture and social and economic justice, the original home of the Jewish Labor Committee, an institution that, as you'll hear in a moment, remains active to this day. It housed the Yiddish newspaper, the Jewish Daily Forward, that was the central communications source for the Jewish community in Los Angeles, and was a center of labor organizing and political organizing in this community. It is a site, again, while it's a modest landmark, it is a site that shapes our understanding of how new immigrants created a web of institutions in the city and community ties to achieve economic success and educational proficiency. Fortunately, when this came to the Public Works Committee, Councilman Smith met as a committee of one and listened very seriously to the concerns expressed not only by the Conservancy, but the Jewish Labor Committee, Jewish Historical Society of Southern California, and the Boyle Heights Historical Society, and directed that additional discussions take place to forge a compromise. And we are very pleased that such a compromise is now coming forward and will be introduced today, that will preserve a significant portion of this building, not just a facade, but actually allow the building to be used for interpretive opportunities and educational displays on the history of the Boyle Heights Jewish community and immigrant communities in this area. This will enhance the police station project, will protect the rich history of Boyle Heights, and we want to recognize Councilman Smith, recognize and congratulate Councilman Huizar for on his election and supporting this compromise, and the Mayor's Office and Bureau of Engineering for bringing this forward today. So we now are in support of the project as proposed. Thank you.
My name is Cookie Lamel. I'm the Executive Director of the Western Region of the Jewish Labor Committee, and I am here to support what my colleague, Mr. Bernstein, just said, and to thank Councilmember Smith. We support the compromise as it is now, and we think that this is a win-win both for the community and for the police station, and we would hope that everyone will support it in that manner. And also congratulations to Mr. Huizar. Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you very much. We still have 3 speaker cards, Roland Silva, Frank Wade, Ernest Sanchez. If they're not here, we'll add their cards to the file and close public comment on this item at this time. Members wishing to speak, beginning with Mr. Huizar.
Thank you, Mr. President. And let me just say that I support this project going forward at this time for a number of reasons. First and foremost, this has been a project a long time coming. And we know that when we take someone's property, it's a very difficult decision to make, but oftentimes we have to make sure that we're doing it in the public's interest and that we're doing it for the community's interest, and that's exactly what's happening here. We're doing this because we have an old building that needs expansion. We need better facilities for our officers and our community members to make our community safer, and that's what we're doing here. The process, as I've seen it, has been fair. There's been a number of community meetings. The people who have voluntarily moved on have been adequately compensated or offered adequate compensation for their properties. The law has been followed, and most importantly, what we're doing today in approving the final environmental impact report, we followed everything required by the California Environmental Quality Act. I urge your support, and finally, if I could thank Councilmember Smith, the residents of the 14th Council District who are here today, the police officers for bringing this to fruition today. I do have an amending motion. Is it right now the appropriate time to make that, or should I wait till I've passed around the amending motion. It's really only a cleanup action that takes into account the compromise that has been reached regarding the Vladeck building, and it is language that was drafted by the city attorney and the Bureau of Engineering to ensure that the compromise and other mitigations required on the cultural impacts of the Vladeck building are fulfilled. Again, I urge your support for this. And as someone who's coming from LAUSD, where we're building 160 new schools, and we see that with every month passed, the costs for materials keep increasing. Any delay in this action, we'll be back and have to pay a whole lot more to make sure that this comes to fruition. So I urge your support today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Huizar. Mr. Smith, followed by Mr. Zine.
Thank you much. As chairman of the Public Works Committee, we had this before my committee. We heard from all those that wished to speak that day. I'd like the city attorney to come forward, please, and the police department, if they can answer some questions briefly. All the time. I'm just going to ask you. Thank you very much. I'll begin with the city attorney. Madam City Attorney, there was a number of issues, and these were discussed at committee, but I want it on the public record here and for the rest of the council to hear. There are some charges made about the relocation of the people involved in the housing in the building there. First of all, that was a private owner who willingly sold to the city. Is that correct?
Yes.
So it was not an action where we took the property, but the willing seller. And now, did that seller follow the law as far as relocation assistance goes, notification goes?
The relocation assistance was actually provided by the city. Since we were acquiring the property, there are certain laws that require what notices we have to give, how much money we have to offer, what actions we need to take. After the committee hearing, I believe there was more detail in terms of what was given when and to whom that were put into the council file in response to the questions on that issue. As far as we know, that the laws have been followed in terms of relocation assistance.
And so those people that were living in that building were not given improper notice. They were noticed legally within the law that we did give relocation assistance. We did everything we could to follow the law and give them their rights and also help them get relocated.
That's correct.
Thank you. And finally, as far as it goes from the police department, Captain, one of the issues that was brought up during the debate was the issue of the Jewish Center there. You've incorporated that in the construction and the parking lot portion. Is that correct?
The plans that I've seen, yes, they've absolutely been
And that's going
incorporated in.
to cost about how much to the?
That I'd have to refer to the people from facilities management and engineers to come forward, please.
Sam, is it about $500,000, something like that? That's correct. Okay, so we're absorbing another $500,000 in our construction costs, but to meet the issues that were brought about by the Conservancy and the Jewish Coalition, so that we maintain those historic structures as part of our police department.
That's correct.
At our cost.
Yes.
That's very good. And finally, so the cost was very high, but we're willing to do that. And finally, there was a request made in committee that we find a way to also build our police station around the housing, to keep the housing there. Is that possible?
I'm sorry, to build the station around the housing where the people have been moved out?
Without having to move the people?
No, that would not be possible.
Would not be
Not at
possible?
all, no.
Okay. I think we need to get those on the record for all of you. These were the issues that were brought forward to the committee. As chairman of the committee, we moved this to the council. Understanding those issues, we asked the police department to try and find a way to incorporate that building. They did that. I'm talking about the Jewish Center in the construction, so that the historic issue has been resolved. I thank the people involved in the coalition for being partners with this. And I think, members of the council, this is a very good project. It's resolved all those issues, and we've heard from the city attorney that we did follow the law, that we did offer assistance, that we did try and work with the citizens there. And this is a good project, and I urge your support. Thank you very much.
Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Mr. President. New council member, you're going to get a brand new police station. I know how that feels because we opened up West Valley, and the Valley was promised many years to get a station, and finally it opened, and the officers are very happy. I see that this has gone through a long process. I happened to be at Hollenbeck Station a couple nights ago. I was working my LAPD assignment, and we were serving some warrants in the division. When I was a young motor officer, it's the same place 37 years ago. They haven't done many improvements for the facility, and I know that the officers need to have proper quarters to do their job. The parking lot isn't sufficient. The equipment room, the roll call room, I mean the place, it may have been built in Tom Bradley's era when he was with the department. before Tom Bradley's era, desperately in need of replacement. So I commend our new council member for getting this thing off the ground. I support you with that. I don't know if you visited that facility, walked through it. You have. It's really not a shining example of what a proper police facility should be, where we have our public safety personnel, our detectives, and it's true the detective functions blocks away from the patrol operations. I know the captain's quarters are less than desirable, the watch commander's quarters. I mean, the place is just obsolete. So we are coming around, and I know Sam has done a great job making these projects complete. I know West Valley, you did a great job. Everybody's happy. The community's happy. The officers, the detectives, everyone's happy with it. So I know that this new focus on police facilities has been a tremendous asset. And there's always some controversy along the way. It seems to be that there's always going to be some controversy. But for public safety, and that community needs public safety, this is paramount that we deliver this. So Councilmember Smith, you were involved in this, our new council colleagues involved in this, the community, my strong support. And anyone who questions the fact that they don't need a police station replacement should go visit the current facility. I'm sure the captain will be happy to take you on a tour and see what kind of intolerable conditions our personnel have to work in that present facility. So congratulations for finally coming to completion. Hopefully this will pass today and get on the road. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. Other members wishing to speak at this time? Seeing none, we have the motion as amended by Mr. Huizar before us. Mr. Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item 12 was called special by Councilmember Labange.
Mr. Labange.
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask Mr. John Muckery, the general manager, keeper of all the over 300-plus parks in the city, to join us. And I know a representative from the Department of General Services, I believe. And Mr. CAO, would you be so kind? Michael, just get that map out there. Boss, would you hold it out there? No, the other one. Members, this is an issue we continued the other day. I just hope you could all support this effort here. As you know, we're going through consolidation of our security services from throughout the city. Just give us that little consolidation report, Bill, Mr. Fujioka. Just your library department, parks department, rangers.
As proposed in the, not the budget for this year, but in our fiscal year 4-5 budget, we recommend the consolidation of our special officer function and security guard function that's primarily in GSD, but was also found in the library department and rec and parks in the form of our park rangers, other departments. Yeah, those two. With the intent of improving the coordination of our safety function and security function throughout the city of Los Angeles. Because right now, with the multiple agencies having this responsibility, we found that we weren't using the existing resources efficiently. When the principal focus is improving the safety and security at our park system. Because in the past, we had park rangers performing that function, and oftentimes we had a very tiny, very small security function at our libraries who were not working with the rangers in the parks surrounding the libraries, and then our GSD staff were also not providing that service. And so we see the opportunity for significant improvements to consolidating this function under one department that has committed to ensuring that the services will be coordinated. What I want today, though, what I'm going to ask today is that we do separate the issue of the need for additional park rangers from the consolidation of the security and special officer functions into GSD. I also mentioned that recognizing that we have inadequate resources in the parks to provide the future park ranger function, that we will address that in the context of discussing the new budget for fiscal year 2006-2007 that will be brought before your ad hoc budget committee in May, and then subsequently the full council the first week of June.
With that suggestion, I just want to get a feel, would there be support around the city council for a commitment that'd be more park rangers? Because it's very important that we don't have this consolidation unless we keep the existing level of service that is there. I don't know if the light bounces off here, or Mr. Rosendahl, if you could see this. This is citywide. These yellow postums represent some of the regional facilities. Also, Mr. Buckery, you have a urban impact park where many rangers are at rec centers right now. Could you explain that to us at all?
Within our park system of 394 parks, there's 47 parks that were declared as urban impact areas. We actually put more physical and financial resources in those parks. We call it a clean and safe system. And so, yes, we do have more of a presence at those parks, and we will continue to have a presence in those parks.
Mr. Parks, excuse me, speaking of parks, spoke of that you felt that this may hurt local parks, but in fact, this would enhance local parks with the new GSD security officers and additional rangers, whatever number they would be.
I think we're looking at about 10 different issues here. As general manager of general services, I actually made this proposal for the consolidation. Chief Parks was helped me with that during the September 11th incident, because we had virtually no command and control amongst all the agencies that had public safety requirements. I firmly believe with this consolidation that our parks will have better security presence in total. However, there are other issues that park rangers do, interpretive program, nature walks, hiking. We are looking at that issue park-wide also, throughout the 200-plus parks that have centers. But we shouldn't look as park rangers as the only resource to the system to do those functions. We have community-based organizations, faith-based organizations, and also LA Unified that we are looking to partner with to do more and more of those programs. For instance, we have a program called WOW, Wonderful Outdoor World. When I took over as general manager of Rec and Parks, we did 6 programs citywide a year. We are now doing 8, and we want to expand it even more. At those programs, they're interpretive programs where we bring in a number of resources from the state and local. So
but you're the manager of the 394 parks.
That's correct.
And you agree with me that you can't leave the cupboard bare, because these are rangers that are now under your jurisdiction that are going to general services, but you believe that our city process will allow us to expand. I'd say 37, Mr. Fujioka, having a knowledge of the city and the parks and the regional parks and the other duties that they have. But would we have enough out of those 37? Because one of the arguments, and I know our chairman of the Budget Finance, when there's a public building on a park, already then you get 8 people there. If it's just open space, you get nobody. There's nobody. There may be maintenance people who come in the morning, but there's nobody to be the leader of that park, so the park gets destroyed without the love and care and direction. So the thing that I'm asking for as we develop this is that there be a senior lead ranger, that they also have the ability to write a fire hydrant ticket. They will have that ability, right?
Yes.
They have basic ability there. That they should call LAPD if there's a problem, and will they be calling 911 or will they be calling general services? What will they be doing?
It depends on the incident.
Depends on the incident and how that protocol works out. But I want somebody left in the parks because there's nobody there. As a Hanson Dam in the northeast San Fernando Valley, O'Melveny Park in the northwest San Fernando Valley, Sepulveda Basin in the central part of the San Fernando Valley, Griffith Park, Lincoln Park, MacArthur Park, Mallory Park in Harbor City, Gateway, just to name a few, Exposition Park, which does have the benefit of the state security forces there. But all that should be looked at so that we don't, there's somebody there. Because accountability, when there's someone in charge and has a care for it, then it's going to only enhance the use of that.
I mentioned that, during the budget process, there's a commitment to look at it. But I also mentioned the importance of separating the two issues, because here's the bottom line. If we don't go forward with the consolidation, we will not reap the benefits of a a more coordinated or better coordinated safety and security function throughout the whole city, but particularly in the parks. We have, based on the operational plan developed by GSD, an objective to reduce response times significantly, almost in half, in the parks for security purposes. And so the consolidation will address and will not address, but will significantly improve our security function at all city facilities, throughout the city. Once that's done, and once, as I mentioned before, once that dust settles, we need to address the park ranger function. But I'd like to do that in the context of the overall budget so that people see what kind of challenges we have.
Okay,
And we'll
I'll
make this
punch
last
my
one.
button again, or give me 10 seconds.
Go ahead,
If I'm
last
a
question.
hobo and I'm in a freight yard, I want to stay on that one freight train and not get decoupled, because I want to get to wherever I want to get if I'm a knight of the road. So if I'm a park lover, I want to keep these two together, because I feel if it breaks apart, I may lose my opportunity. But I got a commitment from you, Mr. CAO, then
We're
we
gonna
come
look
back
at
at
it.
the table, I got a commitment from the general manager,
Yes.
I got a commitment from the general manager, general service, and assistant general manager. So I thank you on that. I don't know why I thought about a hobo looking at you, John, but I did. Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
Lastly, I just want to ask you one request.
Can I ask
Have
you
you-
to
We have the same feeling
press your
about
button,
him.
Mr. Labange?
Have you visited with Peggy York, the head of the county Office of Public Safety?
Yes, we
I want to make sure you guys have. Okay, so make sure you do that before we finalize. Thank you, Mr. CAO.
My real quick last comment, also as a park lover, I would want a park that's safe first, and then I'll enjoy the environment. But if it's not safe, I can't enjoy everything that I should enjoy at a park.
Colleagues, we are now down to a bare minimum quorum, so I would please ask folks to, as much as we can, make sure that we can get through the items with what is necessary today, because I know that there's still a very important item before us, awaiting us, so if we could please keep things as quickly as possible today on the non-critical. Ms. Gruhl to be followed by Mr. Parks.
And I will be brief, Mr. Parks, because as I said the other day, this is almost a 2.5-year process that we've been going through. And I think recognize Mr. Labange's concerns, and he has been, I think, valiant in his effort to make sure we're listening. And I just want you to know we are listening, because I think, Bill, you said it right, that if you don't have a safe park, no one's going to go to that park. And so I think it is so critically important that we provide a safe environment. The role of the park rangers that I grew up with, that you all grew up with, that Tom and Janice and all of us in this room grew up with, that's changed. And whether or not we were consolidating all of the functions of these various departments into one Office of Public Safety, we should still be having this discussion, because our rangers are providing more security responsibilities today than they were a year ago or 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And so they have been performing these duties and not been able to perform some of the interpretive and some of the other issues that I think our constituents would like to see. So this probably has pushed the issue to the forefront, which I hope we can all appreciate, that having this consolidation and this discussion has allowed us to say we need both. We need to have safe parks. We also need to have people in those parks and to look and see where we can provide those services. And I know Mr. Parks' concern has been, it needs to be citywide. We need to look at some of those parks that may not be regional parks, but have a huge influx of individuals, and we have no resources there, and should be done in the larger picture. So Mr. Parks' committee, Budget Committee, next Tuesday will be hopefully the last, knock on wood, committee to consider the Office of Public Safety, and it will come to council before the end of the year, and that we can move forward on this item and at the same time prioritize what Mr. Labange has, which is providing the interpretive aspect as well for our parks. So I'm glad, I think we're all on the same page today, and moving this forward, note and filing this one, and coming back in a couple of weeks with the Office of Public Safety consolidation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Mr. Parks, to be followed by Mr. Zine. Mr. Parks, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to kind of clarify a couple of things. Number one, we have about 400 parks, and how many of them have actual park directors or personnel in place?
I would have to give you a report on that
I
because
mean, it's
we are
about, I
short.
think the last year was about half of them.
That's correct, we're
Okay,
short.
so there's a couple hundred parks that do not have personnel all the time.
But I have to admit, you're right, but we're getting better.
Okay, I mean, but, because I just want to clarify, it's not just the regional parks, but those are not park rangers, those are park administrators.
You're correct.
That run the park when we have a group of 8 or 10 employees that may run a park.
Yes.
Okay, and so there's 3 different groups of people. We're talking about taking part of the old park ranger group and turn them into security for general services, so that they can provide services at city buildings, parks, and a variety of other places. Then we're talking about the prospects of looking at the 19 remaining, leaving them at the regional parks, but giving them responsibility citywide to bring on the interpretive programs so more people can get exposed to them.
If we stayed at 19, you're right.
Okay. And then Bill promised that during the budget, we're going to look at whether park rangers need to be expanded, but if I understand what Mr. Labange is saying, it would appear that he's talking about administrative people that run parks as it relates to being present as opposed to park ranger. And that's something I think we need to have some clarity, so as we go through the budget process, that we're not expanding park rangers when we really mean that we want to do administrative staff that put on programs and have a variety of things that provide these additional functions at the park. So we need some clarity, because I don't think, from the way I understand it, that park rangers can solve all that.
That's correct.
Okay. And so I just want to make sure that we're walking down 3 paths that, again, we fully support the consolidation. I think the only thing, Ms. Grew, we have to get resolved is the wording on the pursuit policy. And being that I've seen and been in 3 committees and heard it, I hope it's the last committee. And then hopefully, we had asked the last time if we can get some report back from Rec and Park that tells us in this interim period how we're going to expand and spread those 19 people to give services to the rest of the city, even though they're located at the regional parks, and then deal with the budget as we move forward on the budget for administrative and park rangers.
We'll do that.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Mr. President. Any other activities or situations that you can inform us, Mr. Muckery, General Manager of Recs and Parks?
Well, not as General Manager of Rec and Parks, but
How about United States military, sir?
We heard about a small game happening in Los Angeles, and Eric Garcetti, going in the Navy, should know that this weekend is the 106th matchup of the Army-Navy. And these 2 teams have played. They're 49-49 with 7 ties. So this is going to be the tiebreaker for the series. They're playing for the Commander-in-Chief Trophy. But more important to all of us, in about 6 months, these men and women, and I do say women, of both academies will now be in the service. They will be going overseas to protect us, and they'll be manning our planes, tanks, and submarines. So this is a very big game for all of us, and I hope it's as a prelim to the small game that'll happen in L.A.
Yeah, at Echo Park, there's a soccer game too, and over down in
forget about the soccer game.
I got another game going out at the Harbor
Forget
Regional.
the tennis and volleyball
I forgot the name
nets.
of the 2 teams, but
I believe you're out of order, Mr. Fujioka. Thank you
I
very
got
much.
a list
and
right here I can pass around.
We
of all
appreciate
the-
that, and we know
Okay,
Navy's
thank
going to
How about
win
the
that
Housing
tiebreaker.
Authority team? Are they going to be there too?
Our next last speaker is Mr. Labange.
Thank you very much. I just want to clarify, Mr. Parks, everybody in the city uses our public parks and the big regional parks on that, and this is going to be a complement. And they're not going to overlook, Mr. Fujioka, the small parks, and they'll have programs as you do now to have interpretive programs and be involved in that. But there's nobody there to do it really right now. There's nobody there to do it real right now. And with an advancement you could have where you reached out. I remember when we had, it wasn't Sparky, but I think it was Parky was his name, who was the very famous, when the Los Angeles Parks Department ran the zoo, it was a very famous kangaroo that would visit park sites and talk about environmental concerns and parking your trash, I think that was the motto that he had, environment. So there is that component, and we'll get that, but I think we really need to see that there's people responsible. So there's a John Muckery responsible, Jr. of Runyon Canyon, a Bill Fujioka of Harbor City Park, and a Tony Royster of O'Melveny Park, and a Alvin Blaine of Griffith Park. Members, thank you. Watch for this so that we can all fight together and improve quality of our parks. Thank you, members. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Labange. Let us open the roll on the item, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That is great. We next have a special one, if we can have the city attorney speak to its findings.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since the posting of today's agenda, Caltrans has notified the city's Department of Transportation that the contractor will be performing demolition work at the construction site of the new police headquarters on Saturday. Immediate action is required to authorize the closure of certain streets around the site. Council must first make findings pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.2 before considering the substantive motion.
Thank you very much. Anybody wishing to be heard on the on the findings? This is on the just on the findings, Mr. Rosendahl, on whether or not it qualifies for Rule 23. Do you have anything on that part? Okay. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay, that is now before us. Anybody wishing to be heard on the substance of the matter? Okay. None. Let's open the roll on it then, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That is approved. Mr. Clerk, if we can recess the regular meeting and go back to the special meeting and take up item number 2, please.
Item 2 was called special, and there has been an amending motion that's been circulated.
Okay. Mr. Parks and I have concurred on that. If nobody else has wished to be heard on it, let us open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That is approved. Let us now reconvene the regular meeting and take up item, or is it on the special?
It's on the special meeting.
Let's stay in the special meeting then. Item number 11 is before us. Mr. Rosendahl.
Yes, I want to thank Mr. President for putting this on. It's a very critical issue in my district. Tenants are being thrown out of their apartments, and it's a battle that we need to be focused on. We're going to go into closed session, and we're going to hear from our city staff what our options are and what the issues are. And it's critical for all of us. We've seen an encampment right outside. We've seen signs. We've all been talked to. And I look forward to the closed session for this discussion. And I want to thank my colleagues for being here for that. There are speaker cards, Mr. President, and if we could let them speak before we go into closed session, I'd be most grateful.
How long would you like that to be?
If we can do it in 10 minutes.
Okay, we'll do 10 minutes. We'll ask people to be as precise as they can with their time. It's overall 10 minutes, just to remind folks, and we do have, I believe, 7 cards, eight cards. So I'd like to invite Sheila Bernard forward, David Ewing, Hector Jimenez, Gloria Morales, Hans Adamson, Bill Delvac, Amanda Seward, and Elena Pop, please.
Council members, I hope that you, when the city attorney speaks to you in closed session regarding Lincoln Place, what I would like to see you urge them to do is to, when they go on Tuesday to speak to Judge Yaffe, to whom the matter has been remanded, they should go with an injunction in their hands, a request for an injunction to stop the evictions. And if Judge Yaffe does not grant the injunction, they should have a paper in their hands to take to the appellate division right then with an injunction for the appellate court to grant, called a writ of supersedious. In other words, the city attorney should go on Tuesday prepared to defend the city against the violation of conditions of approval which you have approved. We have provided information to you for that closed session that is circulating among you. The Los Angeles Municipal Code gives you the tools to enforce the conditions, and I hope you'll urge the city attorney to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is David Ewing. I'm a resident of Venice, 1234 Preston Way. And I'd like to request the courtesy of all your attention, please. You know, a lot of people come down, have taken days off of work, have interrupted their lives to come down and speak to you, and this is a really important issue. And I know there's been a lot of feel-good issues here this morning, but this is a really serious one. This is going to affect people's lives, and it's going to affect the future of our community. And I'm a neighbor. I'm a friend of a lot of the people at Lincoln Place, and I'm sort of here representing the neighborhood. We need a fair and open process for what's going on at Lincoln Place. We can't afford to have this in some kind of a closed deal, and we need the city, in order to have a fair and open process, we need the gun removed from the tenants' heads. And to do that, you need to exert your will with the city attorney. Rocky, when we were at his house on Friday, he told us that he was a fighter. He said, I got the boxing gloves and I'm ready to use them. And we need to hold him, you need to hold him to that. You need to, this is a matter of political will. You know, Rocky needs to fight on this one. He can't take another dive. You know, he wants to run for higher office. He needs to show that he can fight, and you guys need to hold him to that. I know that there are going to be lots of legal arguments back and forth, but this is a matter of heart. This is really a matter of heart, and you guys got to show that you've got it, and you got to make Rocky show that he's got it. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Gloria, soy Gloria Morales y he vivido más de 30 años en Lincoln Place Apartment y quisiera seguir viviendo ahí. Y también quisiera decirles que ustedes tengan una feliz Navidad porque nosotros no la vamos a tener. Estamos todos los días nerviosos pensando que es un día menos y que ya se acerca el día que nos van a correr de ahí. Y no tenemos a dónde irnos, no tenemos dinero para pagar otra renta. Están tan caras que no podemos irnos a otro lado.
Un momento por traducción.
Y con los seniors.
Un momento por traducción.
Morales. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Gloria Morales. I lived at that place por cuántos años?
74, más de 30 años.
I've lived in Lincoln Place for over 32 years. We're seniors. We're older people. We don't have any place to move. We're asking for your assistance because if we move somewhere else, the rent is very expensive. We cannot afford to pay for the other rent.
Y quisiera que ustedes nos ayudaran, por favor, porque que infrinjan las leyes para los ricos y para los pobres también, porque nosotros también pagamos nuestros impuestos cuando fue el tiempo de trabajar.
We're asking you to please apply the law not just for the rich people but also for the poor people. We're taxpayer citizens. We spent our good part of our lives working when it was our time to work, so now we're asking for your assistance.
Muchas gracias. Espero que paren todas las evictions porque los niños también están pasando un mal tiempo. Todos los niños que viven ahí quieren pasar su Navidad en su casa donde han vivido desde chiquitos.
So please, I ask you to help us stop this eviction because children are also suffering. Children want to spend their holiday and their Christmas season there in the place where they've lived so they can enjoy it.
Mr. Rosendahl?
Mr. President, we're under a tight time frame. We're going to lose our quorum, which means we won't be able to get into deliberations about this issue. Council members have other commitments that have run right against the clock. So if I could ask right now, if there's one more person or three more, like let's get Bill Dovak in there, let's get a couple of others in there right now so that we can go into closed session. Otherwise, there'll be no closed session on this matter. Bill Dovak, could you come up and speak real quickly?
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Gracias por tu testimonio.
And then Elena, would you quickly get there, and Amanda, right behind him, right now. Bill.
Thank you, Councilmember. Honorable Council Members Bill Delvac, Latham, and Watkins for the owner of the property at Lincoln Place, Aimco. You have before you something that is in fact very simple. You'll hear much about the emotion and much about the rhetoric. What you may know or you may not know is every tenant was offered the right to stay forever. Opponents of the project rejected that. In fact, you're about to hear from a speaker who specifically... Mr. President,
Order, please.
may I be heard?
Order, please.
Actually, would you mind asking the other speakers to move away from the podium? I apologize.
Sure. Why don't we we'll make sure that other speakers can get a chance.
It was rejected. In fact, one of the speakers here and another tenant representative went to the State Historical Resources Commission and said, we will never enter into a settlement agreement. You had before you a matter on the regular agenda in which this city made a hard decision to build a police station and had to require relocation. You had to make a tough choice. You followed the law. People were relocated. Aimco has followed the law. In fact, there was a 4-month notice given. It's been 4 months longer than the notice period. This could have been settled. Opponents rejected it. Your city advisory agency in May of 2003 said that the demolitions and other things that have gone on do not require compliance with the current track conditions. They only have to be complied with when a final map is recorded. That's what your city advisory agency has said. That's what the city attorney has said. Unfortunately, the opponents to this project have killed any chance of the tenants remaining. What is before you now is a request that should be listened to and then politely rejected. Your city was sued by these opponents. Your city litigated it. Your city attorney won. We're now going back to court to get a final writ, and they're now asking you to undo the victory you won. This really should and must come. This really must come to an end. This has been a 10 or 15-year effort to redevelop the property. It is not the beginning of the process, it's the end of the process. We believe that the answer is extremely clear under the law. Anything other than just allowing Aimco to exercise its rights would be extremely inappropriate. It is indeed tragic that opponents chose to destroy the settlements, but that's what they did. Thank you.
Our next speaker, hold on. Our next speaker, I will ask for order in the chambers.
Good afternoon, members of the council. My name is Elena Pop, Eviction Defense Network. I am counsel to the tenants. Mr. Delvac and I agree on one thing. This is a simple issue. There is a tract map that was approved by this council. It has two provisions that prohibit the displacement of the tenants. Mr. Delvac's clients have initiated eviction actions in violation of that tract map. Their position is that the tract map is not enforceable because it was never recorded. This was litigated, and on July 13th, the Court of Appeals said that the conditions are absolutely enforceable. That when Aimco demolished the first set of buildings, they stepped into the tract map, and the conditions of approval, which are, quote, not mere expressions of hope, are completely enforceable. And that has to include conditions 5B and 13, the tenant protection conditions. Now, the city attorney is going to the same court to get an order signed. And what they intend to do is ask the judge, did y'all really also mean, that case was about historic preservation. And so they're going to say, did you all really also mean these, tenant protection ones? That's not the right answer, the right question. The city attorney has to go in and tell the judge, we are assuming you also mean 5B and 13. And if the judge says yes, hooray. And if the judge says no, they must immediately go to the Court of Appeals and get clarification from the Court of Appeals. That's how you defend the city and protect this agreement that was made between you and the developer, and of which the tenants are the beneficiaries. And any other position is completely unacceptable. Now, what is really happening here is that the environmental impact report says that by right they can do 795 units. You gave them permission to do 850, but the EIR talked about up to 1,008. They're now no longer happy with the 850. They want you to approve the 1,008. So they file the evictions, use the tenants as hostages, so that you will approve the 1,008. And this is where the settlement negotiations broke down. There was opposition, not from the tenants, frankly, but from others, to being held hostage that way. Now, there was never a good faith offer to the tenants because the initial offer that was made required them to be silent in opposing this project. Ultimately, all my clients agreed to be silent in opposing this project. My clients are willing to sign the deal. The deal is not on the table. My clients never rejected the deal. This council needs to send a very clear message to Aimco and to other developers. If you come to the city and you ask us for variances and to do things you can't do by right, and you make promises, and then you break those promises, you will never be able to do anything in this city again that you can't do by right. The mayor has sent that message. Councilmember Rosendahl has sent that message, and you all need to individually call Mr. Considine, the CEO of Aimco, and tell him exactly the same thing. And Councilmember Parks, there are 685 vacant units at Lincoln Place for Katrina victims. Thank you.
Thank you. That closes our time. If I can ask you to just be very brief, since
Really
we've expired our
briefly,
time. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Elena Pop said it all. I just want to add, I went to Georgetown Law School, and one of the things Professor Cohn told us in civil procedure, if there's a moral wrong, there's a legal remedy. And our jobs as lawyers is to find it. You need to tell the city attorney to find the solution, find a way to enforce the track map conditions. Find a way to stop the evictions. Thank you.
Thank you all very much, and we appreciate your understanding with the tight time. We'll now go into closed session for consultation with our legal counsel. Mr. City Attorney, will you cite the provisions under which we are doing that?
We are going into council under pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9A.
Thank you very much, and we'll come back on the microphone. Before, as you're leaving, Mr. Rosendahl?
Thank everybody who just spoke. And when we go into deliberations, we will discuss all the issues of relevance at this moment. And I just thank you for your participation.
Thank you. We're back in public session. Mr. City Attorney, if you could give a briefing on what has occurred during executive session.
Thank you, Madam President. During closed session, council lost a quorum, and pursuant to Council Rule 25, the closed session meeting concluded. After that, there was an informal briefing with just 7 members, so that there would not be a quorum of the whole council, an informal briefing of the litigation. And now we have resumed into open session, and I believe there will be some concluding remarks by Mr. Rosendahl, among others.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. First of all, thank you all for that discussion. I appreciate everybody's focus on a very significant issue impacting our great city. And in a week and a half, when we come back into session, I'm going to do a closing, a memorial motion. I'm going to a funeral right from here for Wendy Jo Sperber. She's an actress and a comedian, and she was a founder of We Spark Cancer Support Center. She just passed away a couple of days ago on November 29th. I'll be more formal with my presentation of her passing when we reconvene, but she was an incredible lady who was conflicted with and impacted by breast cancer. And she took the remaining part of her life to create an organization that went after people who are suffering and created an awareness program, a wellness program, a support program. I had the pleasure, when I was the television guy, to have her on my show as a true inspiration to all of us. And in her last 4 or 5 years, did more for women in breast cancer than anybody I know. She was a major star in the entertainment industry, and I know that at Forest Lawn, when I go there, there'll be a lot of folks there who will be grieving like I am to lose such an incredible lady. Thank you for letting me make that comment.
Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl. Colleagues, do we have any announcements today before we adjourn? Ms. Hahn?
I just want to announce that a lot of activities happening this weekend. The Watts Christmas Parade tomorrow at 12 noon. There's the Holiday Harbor Boat Parade down in Wilmington and San Pedro Saturday night. And then Sunday is the San Pedro Christmas Parade in downtown San Pedro, commencing about 12 o'clock. So a lot of holiday activities happening this weekend.
Thank you. Mr. LaBonge.
Yeah, Madam President, all are invited to the Los Angeles Zoo for a wonderful zoo experience at the Reindeer Romp. Went to the entrance of the zoo, and also in the evening, my tip is to come around sunset at 5 o'clock, drive through beautiful Griffith Park to the DWP Light Festival, a very enjoyable thing to do. And also tonight on Riverside Drive, we'll have the wonderful Toluca Lake Open House. It's a great evening, and the great singers in that big, beautiful truck come down the street singing and all of that. Everybody wish them well tomorrow. Drive safely through the weekend, a lot of activity, and especially salute all those going to the great game at 39th and Figueroa and hope the Trojans win. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'd just like to acknowledge two parades that are occurring in my district tomorrow night, the Studio City Parade, as well as the Tahunga Avenue Parade tomorrow night in my district. It's always a lot of fun and enjoyable for the family, so invite all to attend. If there's any announcements, Madam Clerk or Mr. Clerk will adjourn this meeting. Thank you.